Charlie
Yeah,
has, because he wrote them.
I
Kevin?
wrote them, so I'm pretty sure that I looked at them.
Okay, Kevin,
I make a,
Yep.
Jack,
yeah. I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all the ayes carry. First thing on the agenda is a request for a determination of applicability from the Massachusetts Electric Company.
Whoa, back up a little bit. First thing on the agenda is long homes.
Long-built homes.
Well, not my minutes.
Oh, you're supposed to be looking at the agenda, not the minutes.
Yeah, right there.
All right, okay, 7 o'clock, Long-Built Homes, notice of intent for development on Hunter's Hill subdivision. Evan Watson, PE. Is Evan with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, there he is.
All right, very good. Yes, I am here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Evan Watson with W Engineering, representing the applicant, Longbill Homes. Also on the call is Lee Castagnetti, counsel for Longbill Homes. And tonight, we last met a couple meetings ago, and we filed our application, and we were asked to go redelineate the wetlands and to fund the 53G account. So those two things have happened. So basically, we just wanted to give the board a quick update to let you know that we are moving forward. We hired Brian Madden and his group over at LEC. They've been out delineating the wetlands. We've been going over them. We have a few little more spots to take a look at, and we're getting surveyed. So we expect that information to be submitted fairly soon. And we're here just to ask the board to see if we can get the third-party consultants selected so that when we submit that information, it could start getting reviewed right away.
All right, Lisa, Charlie?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we already established the 53G account. Looks like now that Beta is busy, we need someone to cover. Any suggestions, Lisa?
Thinking LEC, but yeah, that's not gonna work now.
They can review, no problem. We would be happy with that. That'd be fine.
Maybe, let's see. You know, the DPW used someone for Briggs Street. Let me look up the company. Hold on one second.
Didn't we use a consultant from Warwick on occasion?
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure Brandon Faniff is flat out right now. Is that who you're talking about?
I can't remember his name.
All right.
Is that Ecosystem Solutions?
Yeah, Brandon previously flagged this site.
Oh, Fana, yes.
Yeah, he's West Warwick.
Yeah,
let's see here.
Lisa, we use
What about
CEI.
comprehensive environmental?
Yeah, Lisa, Tom is on.
Okay, Tom.
Yes,
Sorry.
you just mentioned the company. Yeah, we use CEI.
Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking we could go with them for this, but it's a, what do you you guys can make the ultimate decision. Tom, do you have any other recommendations of anyone, any businesses that environmental firms that you've used in the past that you think the commission might want to
Green Seal,
consider?
Green Seal Environmental out of Sandwich.
Green Seal, yeah. Okay,
Yep. I know that I've talked to Brandon in the past, and he should be available, and he has been on the site before, so.
Wow, if he's familiar with the site, then maybe that's where we should go. Brandon's capable enough, that's for sure.
Why don't we check with Brandon, and if, it's gonna be too far out, then we'll revert back to somebody else.
yeah, most companies are at least 3 or 4 weeks out right now, my experience.
That would probably fit in well with what we're gonna, with our schedule. I think it would be, we just wanted to make sure that we had somebody set up in the queue. So we're probably about 3 weeks of survey time to get that all prepared and put on a plan and submit it over to you.
Okay,
So if we got it set up and got that person keyed up so that when we're ready to submit, I think that would work just fine.
okay. So guys, do you want to maybe get a couple of maybe proposals? Maybe one from Ecosystems and one from Green Seal, and then you guys can take it from there, or?
Are you speaking to me or the board?
The commission.
Oh, I'm sorry, thanks.
We can check with both.
Yeah,
Get some,
Okay.
Get some idea of what they charge and work from there.
all right. So Ecosystems and Green Seal Environmental.
Where are
Okay,
they located?
Sandwich.
Okay. Are you going to contact these people,
I can
Lisa?
certainly do that.
All right, we'll leave it with this.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we seek estimates from these two consultants and work it out at our next meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
When is the next meeting?
June 17th.
Yep.
Thanks for coming, Evan.
Thanks for having me. I know, sorry for any confusion earlier. So have a good night, everyone.
You too, thank you.
See you later. Thank you. Okay, Mass Electric Company, RDA. Anybody
Adam
here?
Rosenblatt is here from
Company?
VHB. Hi,
What's
Adam.
this?
Present. Hi, Lisa.
There he is.
Greetings, everyone. Can
Greetings.
everybody hear me okay?
Yes. fine.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
For the record, my name is Adam Rosenblatt. I'm with VHB, representing the applicant, which is Massachusetts Electric Company and the New England Power Company, MECNEP for short in most of the narrative document. So we're presenting for basically a geotechnical investigation. So this is sort of the first part of a larger project, which will come back through conservation at a later date for what will be what we call a refurbishment project on the V5, U6 double circuit transmission line and the sister line in the same right of way, which is the S8 line. These are all 115 115 kV transmission circuits. So this first step is just to do soil borings, which the engineering and designing folks will use to design replacement foundations for new structures that are going to go in place of what is there existing. So we're filing this RDA basically for the boring program to advance. We'll come back again later, when we have design plans for the structure replacements and all the access associated with what would be necessary for that. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. And then we can kind of go through plans if you'd like to. I don't know if you guys typically share plans, or if you have us share plans, we can do that as well, after I sort of give you a little bit more overview.
I have a question, Adam. Are the whole 3 lines going to be rehabbed,
Yes.
the 3 circuits?
Yep. There's the V5 and U6 are a double circuit. So there are 2 circuits on the same structure. The S8 is an individual circuit, which means it's just the single line on, one set of poles. Most of the V5, U6, a lot of them are lattice towers, which is the steel erectoset looking towers. And then most of the S8 line is on H-frame or chair frame structures, which are like 2 wood poles with a cross arm going across the top. But the plan will be to refurbish all 3. And they'll be, that future project will be phased. It's still probably, I'd say, a couple of years away. But the boring program would start out basically with a vegetative management contractor who would come out and mow the right of way in the areas where they're going to be proposing to do the borings, as well as the access to them. After they've done their vegetation mowing, they would, in wetland areas, install temporary construction mats. So these are timbers that are bolted together. They roughly measure about 16 by 4 feet. And they lay these out on the ground to sort of displace the pressure of the vehicles that drive over them, so that you're minimizing or eliminating soil disturbance. And they're also a means to get in and access these locations for crews that are doing work in a safe manner, where the work area is relatively level, and safe to operate equipment under the power lines. Once the matting is installed, they'll follow with erosion and sediment controls, which on this project, it would be compost filter sock that would be mostly utilized, or silt sock. And that would be between areas where the soil boring is going to be installed or advanced, and then, the resource areas that are surrounding it. The drill rigs are typically going to be rubber tire mounted. They could be on tracks. It's basically up to the contractor, that's chosen to do them, which type of vehicle that they would present with. But in either scenario, they would be operating on the existing access roads in the right of way, or at grade on mown areas, except in wetlands where they'd be operating off of construction mats. Occasionally in upland areas outside of wetlands, they'll also use construction mats, in places where they maybe want to protect, someone's lawn or sod area, or in areas where, soil strength is poor, something that wouldn't be able to support a vehicle. They may use construction mats there in a situation like that as well. We sort of view those as best management practices to try and minimize or eliminate soil disturbance wherever possible. So the boring advancement would happen. They typically use a hollow stem auger with split spoon sampling that runs down inside the tube. The material that comes out of the borehole is collected on typically a tarp, and then they reinter it. They put it back down the hole when they're done. We typically ask for the boring contractor to remove the upper foot of soil in a plug that we set aside, and then we use that at the end of the boring advancement at the last stage of, the backfill, to sort of plug the hole back up. It's got, basically the seed and everything else that was growing on top right there and in it for restoration. So it tends to, minimize how much disturbance, there is around these locations, which is pretty small to begin with. We conservatively sometimes estimate maybe up to a 3x3 area, for, just the crew sort of walking around the borehole, for access with, the equipment and sort of getting the boring advanced. The auger as it brings soil up sometimes, will be in that sort of 3x3 box. Oftentimes it's much smaller than that as well, where they're able to just shovel it up onto a tarp and, at the end of it, they just sort of slide the tarp, materials right back down the borehole. When they're done with a boring, as I said, they backfill it. If there were construction mats that were installed in order to get to that bore location, they would be removed. Any erosion and sediment controls that are used, like the compost filter sock, that would also be removed at that time. Typically, there's not any significant disturbance associated with these to soil surfaces, but if there were, upon construction mat removal, it would be stabilized, with a straw mulch or a seed and mulch approach if, there was an appropriate seed stock there. These mats likely for most borings would be down for a matter of a month. So with it being sort of a projected summer job, the expectation is that the vegetation, though, squished or matted down, pops right back up for the most part, and, acts as its own mulch as well, so there's very little soil disturbance. When all is said and done on the project, they'll go through, make sure that anything, that was disturbed as a soil surface, perhaps at like a roadway entrance or whatnot, is revegetated, so seed and mulch treatment there as well. National Grid will be contracting with my company, VHB, to do oversight, which is environmental compliance monitoring. So we would be doing weekly inspections out there to make sure that erosion and sediment controls are functioning appropriately. If they need to be supplemented or repaired, we would make those recommendations to the folks that are running the drill rig operation, and those repairs would be initiated, within a week's time. So, so most of this work from a regulatory perspective, is treated under the Wetlands Protection Act sort of maintenance exemption for utility structure replacements. We have a administrative consent order with Mass DEP for the installation of temporary construction matting. So from a water quality perspective, we are operating under that ACO that National Grid has with Mass DEP. And we're basically here, with this RDA to request, from the Conservation Commission that, they view the project as being adequately protective of the Wetland Protection Act and issue a negative determination of applicability for the work. Happy to go through the plans, answer any questions folks may have about this current project, and I can try and answer some about the future project if folks have them. But happy to go through whatever you'd like.
Well, thank you, Adam. You've answered all my questions. Charlie, Jack,
Yeah, no,
Lisa?
I'm
He
pretty
pretty much
familiar with
covered
the work that National Grid does, and I've monitored grid projects, and I know they're always trying to do the right thing. So, and I'm confident that VHB is going to monitor the whole thing pretty well. My only question right now is that, are the flags still up, and can you make sure that the flags are in the field,
Yep, no, absolutely.
in 3 years?
Yep, the original flagging, is a couple of years old now at this point. And we've been out in other segments, of the right of way where there are still remnants. But one of the first things that we would do ahead of any contractor entering the job would be to refresh the flags that are in the work zones, so that the crews, who are reviewing our mapping have a guide on the ground and know exactly where the wetland edges are. So that refreshment would include the wetland flag numbers as well. So, they're able to sort of orient themselves and, can stay basically out of trouble, hopefully.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, no, it's, sounds like it'll work.
So we just need to make sure, I know I had numerous calls on this. So if there are any abutters or anyone else in the audience that wants to ask Adam any questions.
Okay, Charlie, make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we issue a negative determination for this boring project to Miko.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Adam.
Very good. Thank you all
Thanks,
very
Adam.
much. Have a good evening. Good to
You
see you,
too.
Lisa.
See you later. Tell
Take
everyone
care,
hi.
everyone. I will. Thank you. Bye now.
Tom Ferry, are you there?
I am.
Attaboy. Where are you? Are you at home?
No, not at this time.
All right,
No mask.
I'm about 15 hours away.
that's okay.
Okay, am I up?
Yeah, you're up, Tom.
Yep.
Okay, you can hear me good? Can you guys hear me
Yes.
okay?
Yeah,
Mhm.
we
Yes.
can see you.
Hear you.
Yes.
Hear you too also.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Tom Ferry, Dayton Highway Department. Requesting a similar discussion, a request for determination of applicability. I need to do some drainage upgrade on Pleasant Street, the intersection of Beach Street. As you may or may not know, that there's a combination of problems in that area. Some of it is impoundment of water further down on Beach Street, which is not really our property. We also have some ponding of water during rain events on Pleasant Street, which is going to accelerate the deterioration of Pleasant Street in that area. So I'd like to revisit putting the catch basins at that intersection. After doing a little preliminary work with the water district and whatnot, it looks like there was the basins there right at the corners of that intersection. They still has some corrugated metal pipes above the water main, and then we need to, because we can't identify the exact location of the main, we need to do an exploratory dig during the process. We don't want to put the structure on top of the water main when we do that. And so we'd like to install the catch basins at that intersection and put the new pipe, a new pipe, 12-inch plastic pipe right to the existing basin to the south in front of 209 Beach Street, which is also part of Pleasant Street when you're looking at the intersection. And that outflow goes on the west side of Pleasant Street. All the work would be in the town layout of Pleasant Street. We plan to put straw bales on the outflow of that ditch on the west side of Pleasant Street, and a silt barrier underneath the grate of that existing catch basin. Roadway would be swept daily. Approximately project would take 2 days to do. So that's what we're proposing to do, and I'll entertain any questions.
When do you expect to do this, Tom?
It'd be after July 1st. It'd be early summer, hopefully before the end of August, but I'd like to do this in July.
Okay.
Is this the area that has a lake that forms in the back of the house property?
Further down Beach Street, yes, this would give them others avenue to get rid of the water, and it naturally can filter through the wetlands. But we wouldn't be connecting that water source, so others would have to do that.
Okay.
Tom, did you say it was a town road, approved town road?
Pleasant Street is. That's where my work would be.
Okay, not beach, all right.
Bill, you have someone raising their hand called Park Ave.
Yes, it's I'm from Park Ave. And I also have a piece of property that floods. So do I get a catch basin also? And is there gonna be any pipe going up Beach Street?
Can we have your name for the record, please?
Gayanne Claire,
Can you spell your first name for me, please?
Gayanne,
Okay,
Clare.
okay.
Tom, can you explain to her what you're going to do and how it'll work?
Yes, my pipes would be at the lowest elevation as possible. If those residents inside the Dayton Rock Park, as we call it, would like to entertain connecting or diverting water to our system, it would need to be reviewed. As far as who lays the line, it would be the residents inside there that would be laying the line at this time. The town's not going to be doing that. But we're providing an avenue for them to get rid of the water. That's what we're part of that intersection that we're interested in.
So it's going to be only a catch basin on Pleasant Street?
That we're doing, correct. And then if you would want to have water head that way, you install a catch basin. I need to see the plans and elevation and also the amount of flow that might be coming.
And the commission would need to review any work within 100 feet of a wetland and 200 feet of the river. So that's why Tom is before us right now.
Hi, my name is Susan Burrows. I also live on Park Ave. Are you going to offer any type of filtration system with this catch basin? As we know, this is a protected watershed, especially in Broad Cove. It's a beautiful area. And one of the properties that could potentially hook up has a very visible high fecal count on the land. And I'm just concerned about fecal matter, high levels of nitrogen or phosphorus entering into the watershed.
Very good question, and that's something that a lot of people overlook in the past, and more people are interested in protecting our ecosystems, and I appreciate that. Any water going through our systems, it will be going through a sump series in the catch basins to help treat the water, and then we have that natural resource right to the west of Pleasant Street that is the natural filtration. This would be one of the systems that the EPA is looking for as a retrofit to the traditional type of drainage systems that we're used to. This is a good natural way of taking care of drain water.
So in essence, the system you plan to install, i.e. on Pleasant Street, is a system that you're doing so that people, if they choose to make a decision to hook to it, it's totally their responsibility, and it does not fall on the onus of the town paying for any personal property owners to tie in.
I'm not sure you had a lot in that statement.
Okay, I apologize. So you're
Yep.
putting in the catch basin, i.e. on Pleasant Street. You mentioned that this would mean that other people could potentially hook into that stormwater system at their own cost.
Our system cannot be overwhelmed. It has to work hydrology. If there's any direct connection, it would have to go through our stormwater committee. Right now, I'm interested in taking any water that's sitting on top of Pleasant Street, or if others, it would work for the impoundment problem further down on Beach Street, but others would have to figure out how to get it to our basin, or if it gets overwhelmed enough, it would come down on top of the road and through the basin that way. But any direct piping would have to be evaluated through myself or through the Stormwater Committee
And it's the cost of the property owner, correct?
at this time, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So is anybody connecting to that now?
Not that I'm
Going to-
aware, not that I'm aware of.
So I don't understand how one catch basin is going to help the issue down on Beach Street. When there's no way the water is going to run out to that catch basin.
If they would like to explore that, they can. I'm interested in protecting our Pleasant Street at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Kevin? Got any questions for?
No, I think Tom explained it very well. And you said, Tom, you're looking for the summer time to do this?
Yes,
Couple of
definitely.
days?
Yes, I do. Definitely want to avoid any disturbance down there late fall.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Holly? Jack?
Yeah, Tom
no
has been,
question.
I just wanted to say, Tom has been very good with communicating his game plan, and we've sat down and looked at it together, and I think it's a good idea, so.
Yeah, I'm good with it, Bill.
Okay, Jack, thank you. Charlie?
Fine,
Charlie?
all set. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so you just need a motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
I'll make a motion that we issue a negative determination for this project.
I'll second that.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye. I made
Aye.
a motion. I'm going to be in favor.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for your time, everyone. You have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, Tom. Take it easy.
You ought to be home by now, Tom.
Let the guy take a vacation. Bill, I think you could probably take a few things out of order, seeing how, well, I guess, yeah, we have Brook Street Solar on, so let's go with that, yeah. I don't know if Nick is here for Brook Street Solar, but I invited him.
Who did you invite?
Nick, he is the representative for Brook Street Solar. Nick Fasendola from Level Design Group. Right on, the schedule is right on time, the agenda. Well, do you want to take something out of order if he's not here, and we'll go to the beginning of the discussion items, but you have to vote.
What are you asking?
Okay, so Nick Fasendola regarding Brook Street Solar is not present, and I had asked him to be. And between that and Strawberry Fields, let's just skip over and go to discuss Xero Horton Street. But in order to do that, you need to vote to go out of order on the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we go out of order on the agenda and proceed to Horton Street.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jack?
Yeah, aye.
Okay, Charlie. I
Yeah.
also. Now, where did you want to go, Lisa?
All right, so discussion of Xero Horton Street TLC development is being represented by Jack O'Leary from Green Seal. And they're looking to get their orders of conditions amended. Right now, they're going through the MIPA process.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, should I
Oh,
start
there he
speaking on
is.
this?
He's here.
Sure. I'm Jack O'Leary with Green Seal Environmental. Nice to see you again. Last time we had submitted a request to amend the order of conditions for this project, which involves a driveway crossing through a wetland to an upland area in the back of the lot. And at that time, the request for the amendment was simply mainly to address the fact that we had found a existing culvert we could repurpose instead of manufacturing a new one. They caused some minor changes to the crossing because of its dimensions. During that discussion, that meeting, there was some discussion about some other subjects which I can touch on. One of which was to further elaborate on the proposed house that was going to be constructed. That was originally going to be handled under a separate notice of intent, but I think if I understood the commission's desire at that time of the last meeting, is it would be better if we put that work onto this plan and covered it under the amended order. So since that hearing, we did establish where the proposed house would go, its shape and size. And we've revised the plan to show the house, show its driveway, and show the grading around the house, some of which goes into the buffer zone. The house itself is mostly out of the buffer zone, and so is the driveway. And of course, the septic system components are all outside the buffer zone. So that's included on the revised plan. We've also been going through the MIPA process, as Lisa mentioned, and been receiving some input from them and in that process. So during our, I'll hold off for a second if somebody gets that. During our virtual site walk with MIPA, Lisa had brought up that there was some apparent disturbed areas outside of the area of the proposed driveway that should be addressed, and she was correct. The driveway itself, the erosion control is about where it should be at the full width of the proposed driveway crossing. The roadway that's excavated at this point is only 12 feet wide. The driveway and retaining wall eventually will be 24 feet wide. But there are a couple of areas where, for whatever reason, the excavator went outside of that 4-foot width on the right side. So the plan now shows those areas, and it shows them being restored with some wetland plantings, so that those areas will be now restored back to their original condition when the work while the work is being done. Another change in the plan, which I think is a real benefit to the whole project, is the replication area. When Lisa and I had initially looked at this site, it was our first time seeing where the previous engineer had proposed the replication area, which is in a thickly wooded part of the lot with some stone walls. I had the chance during this MIPA review process to review this with the client on the site, and we agreed that we really should be looking somewhere else where we wouldn't create so much disturbance to the forest. So there's an area along the frontage of the site right on Horton Street that is a cleared field. It looks like it's growing in. It's an area of upland, and the proposed revision is to take the replication area from the originally approved location and move it to this area. That has a couple of benefits, one of which is this area has very few trees on it. There's a few large trees in the middle, and almost all the remaining trees are behind a stone wall in the wetland area. The area between the stone wall is mostly uplands up to Horton Street. So the replication as currently proposed wouldn't take down any trees whatsoever. We'd make allowances for the trees that are there. The other benefit, frankly, is it's right by the road, so it can be done independently of the home construction, independently of the driveway construction, and it can be very easily monitored during the 2-year period where it needs to grow out to 75%. So we would like the commission to consider those changes and approve the amendment to the order conditions. Lisa had also mentioned that you might want an update on the other permits, and I'm prepared to do that if you have a few minutes. We did have our MIPA site walk virtually, as we talked about. Present to that was Lisa. Also, a couple of people from the DEP were present as well. And there was some good discussion about the project and some requests for some additional information for MIPA as far as the total area of disturbance and that sort of thing. I've been in touch with Alex at MIPA, and we do expect to see the certificate issued on May, I think the calendar says May 23rd, which is a Sunday, which means it would actually be on next Monday, May 24th. As I mentioned, the two members of the DEP's wetland staff were participating in the MIPA conference, and we've had a brief email exchanges, nothing substantial since then, but my understanding is that they are waiting to see how that plays out before they move the water quality certificate along. And they've also been copied on this revised plan, so they know what is happening. I've also been in touch with the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the Section 404 construction notification, and they have a list of items they're looking for us to submit some additional information on, all very routine matters. The biggest one is that they are looking for me to give them an estimated count of the number of trees 3 inches in diameter or larger. This has to do with the bat that's threatened in our area, and I'm working on that. And fortunately, if assuming that you are okay with the replication area being relocated, that number of trees being cut will decrease quite a bit from the original plan. So now the MIPA certificate is expected imminently. DEP has, the schedule depends on whether they find any issues with the filing, but they have a full 120 days to act. We're hoping that they'll act well within that time frame. The Army generally acts very quickly from my experience, so I would expect their process will be completed sometime in June. So we're moving right along, and we're hoping that you can help us with that by agreeing to issue an amended order in the very near future.
Okay, so I have a couple of comments.
Yep.
So, it's my understanding that the official comments to the ANF haven't been released to you yet. So I'd like to see that happen prior to the commission amending anything. Also, in order for us to amend, I know DEP policy, as far as amending orders of conditions, requires that the amendment be posted in the newspaper, and abutters be notified of the changes. So the amendments have to be written out. So before we keep going back and forth, I'd just like to see what the final agreed, right now, DEP is looking at it, and, you're trying to get your other permits, and they all have comments. So let's see what those comments are before the commission, the commission can't, in this case anyway, issue or amended orders until you refile, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, they're not required to issue amended orders. It's in their right to not necessarily, I'm not saying they're not going to, but in order to do it, we need to go through the proper process.
And do you want me to respond to that?
So the policy 85-4 under Mass DEP policies, amended orders. So specifically, I'm not going to read it all right now, but that's my recommendation at this point in the game. I mean, the last thing we want to do anyway, we want to follow DEP policies, but the last thing we'd want to do is keep issuing amendments until, you know, it's final. We need to make sure it's final.
Yeah, I would agree, especially if you have to post it, make a public notice. So,
We respectfully, the policy doesn't require a public notice. It's really,
It does if
commission-
there's substantial changes, Jack. So in
yes,
this case,
well, let's hang on, Lisa. We've made these changes due to your input. If we had known that we had to go through this, we would rather have gone through a separate notice of intent for the house. If we had
well,
known
we
this
don't
a
want
month
to
ago,
have to issue multiple orders of conditions for one property either. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, the paperwork is ridiculous.
also, we can't be in a position where we have to wait for every agency can't wait for every other permit to be issued. This plan is being reviewed by these other agencies. We don't expect any significant changes to come of it. The changes have been driven by this process. The commission is responding to what the commission wants first. That's normally how this process goes. It's possible the other agencies may have comments, but it really isn't
Yeah.
fair to make us wait for every other agency to act and then for the commission to act again.
From what I understand, the MIPA comments will be posted on May 26th, so we don't have very long to wait. So they'll be posted in the Environmental Monitor.
But you don't meet for another month. That's a
Okay,
long
but-
time to wait for us.
But we might have to add a meeting in any case, so
Okay, well, that would be helpful. If you keep me posted on that, that'd be appreciated.
yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty busy, so as you can imagine.
So it's fair to say that once the MIPA comments are up, we can get the advertising out and confidently go forward with the
Yeah.
request of the amendment.
Well, let's see what the commission has to say, but.
Okay. Well, that'll work if it's not too far out there. We're hoping to start construction this summer, so. But if you're going to meet before, was it June 15th? Or
June 17th was the next meeting, but we might have to add another meeting in there.
okay, that would be great.
It's up to the commission, but
So Jack, I have a question. This is Joe from TLC Development and G Lopes.
Hey, Joe.
Lisa, may I?
oh yeah. Hi, Joe.
How are you? This project has already been previously approved by this commission. It's been granted. They've told me we could build a house out there. They've approved the driveway. We've made minor changes. I feel that we're just getting dragged through the mud now and dragged through the bureaucracy. So am I missing something here? As I know we're making some changes, but those changes are benefits to the project. We're not asking for more. So can you explain to me why we're going to get continued again? Could the board not approve this project conditionally based on the approvals from MIPA and those other groups that we have to go to? I just don't understand why. We've had ample time to have discussions between you and Jack and work all these things out, but yet here we are again, finding another reason to kick this down the road. And I just
Joe,
need some help understanding why.
With all due respect, so I started in January. It's now May. You know, it's been less than 6 months on the job, and we have various sites around that, you know, need some attention, and this is one of them. You're pretty far along in the process, from what I understand, if they're closing out comments next week.
Oh, okay. With all due respect, I also have had an approval to do this from this Conservation Commission for over a year now. And you know, again, I understand we're making changes, but why? I don't understand why we can't get an approval based on MIPA and DEP and Army Corps agreeing that it's a project that they're going to approve. Why do I need to come back to another meeting? I'm not following that. And I am not being sarcastic or fresh, but I just don't understand why, Jack and you didn't work this out and we got these things situated prior to us having to come to yet another meeting. I already have an approval to do this. This Conservation Commission gave me an approval to put this driveway in. And now I understand that things happened, but now it seems like what is the cause of these continued continuances? Yeah, I'm just asking you to explain that to me. I'm not suggesting that.
Well,
Okay, so
they coming
you
back
had
with,
approval. You had approval, but in the orders, it specifically said you had to get your other permits as well, which unfortunately, the previous engineering firm you had didn't fill you in on. So that's part of the problem.
Okay, but that doesn't change the fact that what Jack is proposing. Somebody had mentioned a few minutes ago, we had to re-notify abutters.
Yes, under DEP policy. I mean, I can send Jack a copy of it if he needs me to.
No, I'm familiar with it.
Okay. So, but I don't understand why this didn't happen from the beginning with this one.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, when you guys came back last month looking for the changes to be approved, this is the step we missed. We should have taken this step, and it's not on me to make sure that you guys are following the protocols. You guys are supposed to know what you have to do.
Right. So Lisa, if I take this project and go completely back to last year when it was approved by the board that we're in front of right now, if I take it and move it back to that exact same plan, what is the stance of the commission? Because the only thing we've changed are very minor things, in my opinion, other than what you and Jack. Well, like, can I finish? Can I finish, Lisa? You're right. We do. I understand that we started construction without having the correct permits. I admitted that. I understand that. That was a mistake. But if I took the plan that we had 7 or 8 months ago, approved, I don't remember the exact date, but probably more than a year ago now, and said, we want to build this, what would be the difference? I don't have to re-come in front of.
No, Joe, the difference would be you're not using the same culvert and you moved the crossing. Did you not?
Yes, but.
Well, no,
correct.
You moved the crossing, Joe, and it's the dimensions of the culvert you're going to use now weren't the same as the one you were going to put in there the first time, correct?
Yes.
Well,
but does that triggers a notice to abutters?
No, you're moving a wetland replication. That's what's triggering the notice to the abutters.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Chairman, may I speak to the procedure? The procedure for amending a notice of intent? It's a recommendation from the DEP, by the way, but it's longstanding. But it also requires, we had asked for the commission to decide whether a new notice of intent would be necessary or not. And that was at the last hearing. The commission didn't make that decision. So we couldn't have advertised or sent any abutter notifications out. We needed your decision on that. If it's possible, you could have decided, given the scope of the change, that a new notice would be required, and then we'd have to do a different process. So that's what the policy actually says. And we do need your input on this so we can go forward confidently and make sure the process is followed. We're being asked to make some significant changes to the plan as far as showing the house, and that in itself may have triggered your decision either way. So I guess I'd ask that, what do you think the changes that are being proposed are significant enough to warrant a new notice of intent, or can we simply amend the one we have to do so? I believe we can simply amend it, but I just want to make that clear that we need to know that so we can follow that policy that Lisa's citing.
This new culvert, is this going to be shorter in length than the original one that was approved?
It's very similar to the original one, except that it's skewed at an angle, a 60-degree angle. The original one was a 90-degree culvert, and the width is as you cross the stream is a little bit less. The length is on a skew, so yeah, some of it's a little bit longer, but some of it's effectively the same length along the stream, and it still meets the stream crossing standards as the original one did. And we still minimize the wetland impact by getting that driveway on top of the existing cart path as much as possible.
But the disturbances have changed, so you've got a change in temporary and permanent disturbances. So that right there would tell me that, yes, we need to go the new, even if we didn't require you to file an entirely new notice of intent, you still have to post a legal notice and notify the abutters of the changes.
I understand that, but we needed a determination from the commission at the last meeting, and we did not get that.
Okay, well, we needed to see you get your other permits.
All the other permits, this is the problem we're running into.
Or at least make sure the monitor comments or the ENF comments are public, and we can go from there.
Now, what if these other agencies say they want to see the Conservation Commission issue an order before we proceed?
Well, let's see what they have to say.
Well, that's not a very
That is
definite.
This is the most unfair process that I've ever been through in this city for several reasons, and it's unfortunate because most of this stuff could have been worked out. It's unfortunate. I apologize for jumping in there, Jack, but it's just this is very unfortunate. This is very, very unfortunate. There are several ways to do this, and you know, I apologize to the commission, to Lisa, but this is simply frustrating. You know, I'm sorry.
So are we waiting for what is it, the 26th for MIPA?
Yeah, 26, the comments will be in the monitor.
And then if the board wants to agrees, we can have a special meeting, get this expedited. At least we work that out that way.
We can do that.
Why would the commission not approve it conditional on all of those other things meeting your requirements? I don't follow.
Because
that. Please explain why you can't.
Okay, you want me to read the whole policy? Because I feel like I'm going to be wasting everybody's time. I mean, I can read it if you want me to, but. So the difference is the commission didn't have an agent a year ago. That's what's going on right now.
And why is that my problem, though? I don't understand that. How can you actually say that to me, Lisa? That's a problem that I have to deal with. I am sorry that was the case, but I don't know why that becomes my burden. I am sorry, but I don't know why it becomes my burden.
Excuse me, Joe. Lisa, can you just break it? Can you paraphrase or read some kind of reference that policy, just so we can go from there? Or the regulations.
So DEP Wetlands Program Policy 85-4 amended orders. Okay. So. Written copy of a request, a narrative description to the changes and pertinent plans showing the changes are sent. And then relatively minor nature, they can be considered as an amendment to an original final order of conditions. Relatively minor changes which result in the same decreased impact or the interest protected by the act are appropriate for amendments. If the Conservation Commission determines that a new notice of intent is not necessary, the Conservation Commission should publish newspaper notice at the applicant's expense in the same general manner outlined in the open meeting law. Requirements of abutter notifications as if filing a notice of intent. I'm paraphrasing what it says here. The notice must describe that an amendment to a final order is being requested, that the request is before the department, which is the commission, for review, and the date that the public comment period closes. Proof of notice must be provided. And then additionally, and most importantly, so amended and the amended order shall be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And the commission is not required in any circumstance to approve any amendments. So we literally could just close the hearing tonight and say this is done, but we're not going to do that. We're giving you opportunity.
In order to follow the policy, I guess I have a request for this meeting. Can the commission decide whether we need a new notice, or can we simply amend the order for the minor changes we're talking about?
Well, that depends on what the changes are going to be through the ENF process. So if DEP comes back and says they want different changes, I mean, what are they going to say?
Well, hang on. We just talked about waiting until the 26th. I thought it was the 23rd on the ENF. Now we're talking about the DEP's process, which could be 120 days. That's a little unreasonable. We can't be held up for that. Just because another agency is acting doesn't mean this commission can't make a decision on what's before them. We have a plan before you with some changes. We believe they're not significant enough to need a new notice. But the commission has to decide. Once we do that, we can take the next step on that policy. We have to understand if the DEP comes up with something, usually all they come up with is they want additional information, which is not a change.
Okay, so I guess Bill's having a hard time hearing in the meeting, Charlie.
Bill?
Yep.
You can hear.
I couldn't understand what you said, Charlie.
So additional impacts require a new notice. The commission needs to just make a decision as to what they need to do and what they're going to do. I don't know if there's anyone else in the audience that wants to speak on this either.
I don't think so. Charlie, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here. It's apparent that the applicants don't want to wait until the 17th. But is there any reason why we couldn't set a date for the 10th or the 3rd?
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah, we'll set another date and have a special meeting for them.
I mean, I'm in favor of that. If
Well,
these-
there's an on-site visit. Jack, when's that visit?
June, let me
June
just
the
double check.
1st,
June 3rd, I believe.
Yeah, June 3rd.
What day is it, Lisa?
That's during the day. We meet at night.
Right, no, I'm saying, do we wait until after that meeting?
We
Yeah,
can
we
make it
probably have
another
a better
day.
picture of what's going on.
June 3rd is the meeting, the on-site meeting.
What day is that?
Thursday
Just
Tuesday?
Thursday.
or Tuesday, excuse me.
Well, you want to have a meeting that night, that evening?
No, I wouldn't think that would be.
What about the 7th or 8th or 9th?
Yeah, anytime. Pick a day.
Well, Lisa, we lost her.
Oh,
Lisa?
yep. Yeah, I'm just looking at my crazy calendar. Well, we need 2 weeks, so at least 2 weeks so he can get the notice out, so.
Well, 2 weeks brings us to the 10th.
Yeah, let's meet on the 10th.
I know that's not going to satisfy Mr. Toots, but I think give us a chance to get our act together.
Okay, so
I would just like a clear path on what we need to do. That's all I want.
Well, at the next meeting, you get a clear path.
just so I understand, are we going to be advertising for the amended order basically tomorrow to be ready for the 10th? Is that the plan, Lisa? Are we?
Town hall's not open on Friday, Jack, so.
Well, I'm just saying, are we getting the direction from the commission here that they do intend to allow us to amend the order and that we can advertise
What I
it?
would like you to do is amend the order per the DEP comments. And so how are we gonna advertise that properly?
Well, I guess I want to make sure everyone understands that we're meeting on the 10th, and then we'd have to advertise after that and notify abutters and go to yet another meeting. That's the way this is playing out by the policy. Is that might have that correct?
Right.
Okay.
I don't understand the answer there, Jack. What was the answer?
The answer is we were hoping at the last meeting and this meeting to get a feedback from the commission as to whether they're going to permit us to amend the order so we can then go ahead and advertise it and notify abutters. And I was hoping that decision was being made, but it sounds like instead we're kicking the can down the road to the 10th until after the DEP site walk before the commission will make that decision, which means that we would then advertise for the next meeting the commission has sometime in July. I don't have a date for July, Lisa, but that's, if I understand that correctly.
Right. All right, let's see the
We have
date.
a regular meeting on the 17th.
June 17th, we have a meeting, but he wouldn't have his amendments in time for that. July.
You're meeting DEP on the 2nd or the 3rd?
The 3rd.
What effect will that have on our meeting in the evening? That's a daytime meeting.
Because Jack has to officially notify the abutters of the changes.
So the 3rd, so the 17th meeting, that's 14 days, right?
Yeah, the 17th meeting would be fine. I mean.
Yeah, so if you meet with DEP on the 3rd, you could still do the same 17th that we have, and you could post it that way. Correct?
Yes, we'll put it to bed.
Do we do have, sounds like you checked. Do we have enough days between the 3rd and the 17th?
Well, I'm just doing the math. It's the 3rd and the 17th, 14 days.
2 weeks. That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it has to go right out on the 3rd. Like
Right.
when you get after the discussion, you post.
So.
Or it gets posted for the following meeting. I mean, that's the best we can do.
Well, if there's the commission meeting on the 3rd too, so we could go forward with the commission's decision that the amended order is process acceptable. Or are we going to just go on what the DEP says at that meeting? I guess what you're saying is if the DEP comes up with no changes to anything at that meeting, we go right ahead and post the ad for the amended order.
Yeah, the commission needs to actually be able to see what the recommendations are by DEP as well. That's one of my concerns. So,
right. would the commission want to come to the DEP meeting and get it firsthand and make a decision on the spot, or a representative of it?
Well, I plan on attending, but I don't know if anyone else does.
I can't during the day, but I'm thinking, would the, still have a meeting on the 10th and the 17th help at all?
I don't know if you'd have enough days in there, the 10th, but you'd have 7 days after that for the 17th.
Yeah, the 10th and the 17th are kind of tight to get the ad out. We
Yeah.
can certainly
Yeah.
notify abutters, but. the ad
If
would
you
be
could,
tough.
if you could have a meeting on that Tuesday night, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
If it could happen.
Well, you could delegate to Lisa the judgment as to whether what comes out of the meeting is significant enough to warrant a new notice, or just simply stick with the amended order. I think she's certainly got the knowledge to do that.
Lisa, would you feel comfortable with that?
Which date? I'm sorry, I'm on the dates again.
No,
The
no,
third.
during, after your meeting, that if the board voted to proceed, then you would just make the final, yeah, can you go through that one more time?
The board could give you the direction tonight so that if, when you attend the DEP site walk, you would be making the judgment as to whether the changes, if any, that they come up with are significant, and then give a thumbs up or thumbs down as to whether we advertise for the amended order or regroup and come back to the June 10th meeting and get the commission to decide.
Almost like a conditional, as a condition.
Yeah, if the
To a
DEP
motion.
doesn't, if they don't come up with anything at the meeting, then, so obviously it'd still be at our risk, but we want to move forward. We would post the ad and plan on coming in on the 17th. But if they came up with something that concerned Lisa, then we would see you on the 10th and get your judgment then.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So the board would have to make a motion and put that condition into that if they so agree. I can't vote. I'm an associate member.
I can make a motion that whatever Lisa decides on the site walk on the 3rd with DEP and the applicant would steer us, would be fine with me.
I'll second that.
Hey, Jack, can you repeat the motion, please, for me?
The motion is to allow Lisa to be our representative to decide at the June 3rd site walk meeting with DEP whether there's a problem. If there are no problems, then they would be able to advertise for our June 7th, June 17th meeting.
Yeah, as long as that's enough days, I think it should be fine.
Oh, that's 14 days, Kevin, so.
You know, I like to have the application in front of me like the day, like 2 weeks prior to the meeting, but in this case, I'll be knowing what's coming to me, so that's good.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I made a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that, Bill.
All right, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome, Jack.
See you on the 3rd, Lisa.
Okay, see you then. We have to go back into order here. Is it Nick Fastendola here? If he's not, I'll read the letter and we can discuss it. Okay. I don't think he's here. On April 27th, I received a letter from Level Design Group. They're representing Brook Street Solar, the commercial solar facility on Brook Street. Level Design Group LLC, on behalf of the project developer, Grasshopper Energy, and the property owner, the Emmanuel and Luis Andes Trust, do hereby submit the attached final construction plan entitled Brook Street Solar Commercial Photovoltaic System, 0 Brook Street, Dayton, Mass, dated August 21st, 2020, and revised through January 29th, 2021, prepared by Level Design Group LLC. Construction plan. The project developer would like this plan to be considered by the commission as the new plan of record for the development and replace the current approved prepared by Atlantic Engineering with a final revision date of December 19th, 2018. Currently approved site plan associated with the orders of conditions dated December 19th, 2018, Mass DEP file 0170404 at the upcoming May 20th, 2021 Conservation Commission meeting. There are no major changes included with the construction plan when compared to the current approved site plan. After review and approval from the Stormwater Committee, minimum modifications were made to the proposed culvert crossing, the intermittent stream located within the Brook Street, Pine Street right-of-way. The culvert width was reduced from 25 feet wide to 20 feet wide and shifted to the east approximately 3 feet. And a guardrail was added to both sides of the culvert at the request of the Stormwater Committee. There is no new site disturbance proposed within the Conservation Commission jurisdictional areas. With the minor shift in the culvert position and reduction in the footprint, the site disturbance within the buffer zone at the crossing has been decreased by approximately 120 square feet. Other minor changes found within the construction plan are construction notes related to erosion sedimentation control practice to be followed during construction. Enclosed, please find the following PDF copy of the construction plan final revision dated January 21st, 2021. If there are any questions prior to the hearing, please do not hesitate to ask. Yours truly, Level Design Group, Nick Fasendola, PE, Principal. So in this case, I believe we have what we need to accept the construction plan as the plan of record.
I'd like to make a point if I could. This is a case where, again, where we've issued an order of conditions and it's been changed by another commission. Doesn't seem very fair to me. There's got to be a better way to work with the Stormwater Commission. Shouldn't be going back over work that we've already done. I know that it's reduced the impact, and that's a good thing. And it's basically the same direction, but it's just a process that's aggravating me. We go through this note of intent process, issue conditions, and then we're back again to amend them for another commission. It's backwards. Done. That's all my comment.
I'd have to agree. Is there, I know when I worked in the Freetown, they, conservation would be first. No, I would be first with the Board of Health. Then I would send it off to conservation. So if I had to move the septic or do whatever it was, then conservation would be second. Would it be easier for all reviews go through stormwater first, then come to us?
Well,
It would be easier on them contractors and applicants and easier on us. It's just a waste of time.
so in some cases, projects don't even, not all projects that go before stormwater come before us, and not all of our projects go before them, so.
When we issued this order of conditions, there was no Stormwater Committee. There was a Board of Health. Nobody objected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bill, are you listening? Maybe you could bring it up, seeing how you're a member of the Stormwater Committee.
Chairman is a member.
Bill,
Yeah,
maybe you could bring this up, that point up that Charlie just made at the Stormwater meeting. That,
yes, I certainly intend to do that.
Yeah. So this way, even if there was a, you'd have to figure out the best way to do it. Is there a list or?
Well, I feel the same way Charlie does.
Because,
Yeah, I
well,
do
Yeah,
too.
Charlie's right. It's to go backwards. It's tough.
there's no list, so the only, so what we're trying to do is institute that online permitting so that all the boards can kind of get on the same page, right? However, right now, what gets signed off are solar projects and new construction. So every town office signs off on those through the building inspector. I agree. Usually, Conservation Commission's first and Board of Health, then Planning Board. And I guess Stormwater would come at the same time or after.
Lisa, there
I can
was
find out.
no Stormwater Commission when we issued this order of conditions.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Okay, well, that's the part that irks me. We're going back, visiting something that we've already taken care of for another commission.
Well, in
They
this
should
case,
They should be the ones that why complain about the location of the entrance? I mean, it's 5 feet and it is reducing the footprint. That's good. But it's just it's going back again and visiting something we've already done.
yeah,
It really
but in
needs
this
to be
case, I think we can just accept it as a plan of record. And in fact, the construction plans, I saw them and I have a copy, and you guys can look at a copy, included the entire orders of conditions. I was pleased with that. Yeah, the Stormwater Committee, I think there's some things that need to get worked out. They're still working things out.
I'm still not satisfied that a commission is put together after, long after we issued orders, and now we have to change the orders. It's just not right. There's got to be a better way. They shouldn't be issuing orders after the fact. That's all my comment. It's just back asswards.
Well, I agree with you, Charlie, and we'll get this thing straightened out.
Well, and I just want to make it clear too, one of the orders on the stormwater permit is that they have a valid order of conditions.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They had for quite a while. If they had built the thing under TGA, we wouldn't be revisiting it, but they took their time and now this is creeping in. It's just awful. I don't like it.
Charlie, not to interrupt, but if we're doing a solar farm, doesn't that mean we're gonna clear land? So shouldn't the Stormwater Committee step in? Because what is it, 35,000 square feet, however,
Correct.
3,500 square feet,
35,000.
Well, it was 35,000 square feet when we did it. The Board of Health already had the regulation in place.
Yeah, what I'm saying though, Charlie, is maybe the Stormwater Committee ought to look at it and do a little math. If we're gonna clear 4 or 5 acres for a solar farm, I think that's over 35,000 square feet, so maybe they ought to look into it before it gets all the way down to us and make recommendations to us.
But
And then we can,
well, the Board of Health at that time, the regulation was already in effect. Didn't consider it. And now that there's an established separate stormwater committee, now it's been, now it's being done after the fact.
Well, no, I realize that, Charlie, and I'm against it too. Because, you know, like they say, crap runs downhill. And everything kind of gets messed up, and it ends on the Conservation Commission to try and straighten it all out.
Well,
Correct?
in this case, it's a minor change, and actually it's for the best. But it's
Oh, I
just the way it's
realize
working
that.
is not good.
Yeah. But no, here we are again.
Well,
It's simply, I mean, it's a good thing that I caught this, and that I brought it to your attention. And now for the record, I mean, it's a whole entirely different engineering firm here too. So, but in this case, yeah, they've reduced the disturbance, and
well,
I think you guys could just, you know, agree to accept this as a plan of for the record, administrative.
but I just don't like the process. So what are we looking for now?
So I need you guys to decide that this is okay.
It is a minor change. Actually, it's an improved change, and I agree with that. You want me to make a motion to accept the amended revised plan?
Please
Yeah.
do, Charlie.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the Grasshopper Energy revised plan of the replacement and relocation of the culvert and the installation of guardrails for this project.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, guys.
Great. Okay, now you have to go back in order.
Strawberry
I motion
Fields.
We go back in order and hear Strawberry Fields.
Before we get to going on this too far, I just wanted to read something off that I sent to the commission and the selectmen on March 26th regarding this. Hello, everyone. This email is to notify each of you that I recently found out the applicant for Strawberry Fields development on Somerset Avenue is part of the Stonebridge Homes Incorporated. Beginning in 2016 as LSC Environmental Consulting, I worked directly for Stonebridge Homes, indirectly, sorry, for Stonebridge Homes Incorporated, providing wetland services in Avon, Mass. The project is currently in the permitting phase, and the engineering company who hired me for the work has notified me of additional work. I wanted to disclose this information to you all at this time and let you know I will not be participating in the review of Strawberry Fields due to the appearance it may cause of a conflict of interest. Beta Group was retained by the commission through the 53G process, and they will continue their review of this project for the Conservation Commission. Correspondence should stay between Beta and the applicant and the commission. Please let me know if anyone has any questions. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you, Lisa. So that's where I'm at on this one.
So you're recusing yourself from participating in Strawberry Fields.
Yes.
Okay. You need a motion for that, or is that,
No, just for the record.
all right? Bill, you're gonna open the hearing for Strawberry Fields?
Is Marty here? Did Marty want to
Yeah.
speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, before continue on with this public hearing, I just want to bring to your attention that in the notice of intent, the abutter notice in the notice of intent was proper notice of the project. All the information in the notice is accurate as far as the site location, the applicant's name, so forth and so on. However, the description of the project state that the proposed work is for reconstruction and improvements of an existing driveway. So the actual description of the project is not accurate. So therefore, the notice that was given to the abutters is not valid. So at this point, unless the applicant tonight can prove that a proper notice was given to abutters, I recommend that the commission not discuss the project any further and ask the applicant to re-notify the abutters with a proper notice before the hearing continues on. And relative to that, I would like to get permission to talk to the circuit rider down at DEP to see if the applicant should actually file a new notice of intent instead of just re-notifying the butters at this point. I'm not sure of the open meeting law and how that should play out. So again, unless they can prove tonight that proper notice was given, this is not a legal hearing.
Thank you, Marty.
Welcome.
Charlie, Jack, Kevin?
No, I'm with her on that. I mean, if it's not proper, why we can't continue.
So this means we would have to
Kevin?
go.
Jack, Charlie?
Got any thoughts, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I would just like to hear from the attorney, Mr. Augustino, Attorney Augustino, in case.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
So again, Christopher Agostino, counsel for the applicant Strawberry Fields Estates. Obviously, this is the first we're hearing of any alleged deficiency in notice. The notice of intent form has been obviously in the public record since 2020 for months now. So I'm a little disappointed that someone would discover that, and rather than maybe bring it to our attention before the hearing, they would instead kind of spring that on us without sufficient chance to actually see what the concern is and then review whether or not it's in fact fatal to the application. My sense, being a land use practitioner and dealing with these issues from time to time, is that it's not fatal, but without adequate notice of the issue and a chance to review it, I feel as though we're kind of being sandbagged once again. I really don't have an opportunity to fully respond to that. So I think our time tonight, and certainly, the commission is welcome to do what they please, but our time tonight, since it appears as though we have all of the professional advisors on the call here at the same time for the first time since this application was submitted. I thought I saw, and someone correct me if I'm mistaken, the board's professional engineer peer reviewer on the line, but he may or may not be present. But in any event, this really is the first opportunity that we've had to actually get the professionals on the line at the same time. And I think it would be disappointing and a waste of valuable resources if we didn't address some of the macro issues that have been raised by the board's consultants, and just kind of get an airing of the real concerns here so that we can get a sense of exactly where we're going with this. It's obviously been quite some time since the notice of intent was filed, and a lot has happened since then. You know, we got the original report back in October of 2020 that reviewed our plans, and it was actually another professional engineer that was representing the commission at the time. And tragically, we came to find out later that Ton Unzis, who was the professional engineer at Beta, had passed away. And we actually didn't know that happened until we received the March 17th peer review report that was signed by a different engineer, and that had dramatically altered the tenor of the conversation as far as how this project was going to be reviewed, the scope of the review, and what the commission's real intent was here. And frankly, we were shocked by that March 17th report, and now we're being sort of ambushed with technical questions about whether or not the original notice of intent is even valid. So I just kind of like to use this time to get a sense of where's the commission going with this, because when I hear things like that we're not even going to hear the application this evening and some of the merits of the project, and we're going to kind of go backwards and talk about potential procedural defects. Are we going to be able to really have a constructive, collaborative discussion to make sure that this is done correctly under the Wetlands Protection Act? Or is there some ulterior motive here to delay and deter and drive up expenses for the applicant? Obviously, I hope the commission has had a chance to read my correspondence that was really triggered by that March 17th peer review report that included, a signatory that we didn't even know was involved in the project, in Mr. Gary James, and the cost associated with that, and the tenor of the review. So, that being said, I would put this back on the commission and ask respectfully that the commission members, give us a sense of where we're going with this. I mean, we can obviously, exercise our rights at the DEP and do that, but frankly, that doesn't really help anyone, and it certainly doesn't help accomplish the purposes of the Wetlands Protection Act and potential local control over how this project gets built. I mean, this is a local commission, so we can have a discussion about what your concerns are, or we can spend the next couple of years in court arguing over issues like we were surprised with this evening. So I'd like to hear the commission's take on it, and if not, if the commission wants to entertain something that was just apparently brought up for the first time this evening in the last 30 seconds to essentially undo 6 months worth of engineering work so that we can start over again, then I'd at least ask for a week to investigate what's going on here and as far as that allegation. And then I heard that maybe the commission was planning potentially another meeting. Maybe we could take that week and figure out, whether or not it's even an issue. Again, my sense is it's a non-issue, but again, I'd like an opportunity to look at exactly what we're talking about and not get sandbagged with something like that. But it's up to the commission. I think, frankly, I'd just like to get your sense of where are we going with this? What would you like to see? If you have something that you're really looking for as far as how the buffer zones around wetland resources are treated in this project, then we can talk about that. But if your goal is to deter and delay and drive up costs, then that's really a different conversation. And I figure throw our cards on the table. I mean, let's talk about it, especially in light of how we opened the hearing this evening.
I've been on this commission for over 40 years. We've never delayed hearings ever. And for you to accuse us of doing that is really an aggravation. I mean, you're pretty good at accusations. I read your letter. You did your best to make our consultant looked like a hayseed. I don't know anything about the PE, but digging up people's records and pointing out faults that aren't really pertinent to this situation just doesn't make me happy. We're not trying to stall on the lead, at least I'm not. I want all the facts. We've worked with Marty before. We've worked with other 40Bs, and we've worked with regular construction. Never had a problem, but we seem to be having a lot of problems. You don't like the way we process our fees. What do you like?
I like to have a collaborative discussion about how we can shape a project so that it accomplishes the goals of the Wetlands Protection Act. Okay, when I sent my correspondence, it was in response to what we saw as an escalation in that March 17th peer review and a blanket statement that we saw as counterproductive and frankly, a slight against the hard work that Jacobs Driscoll Engineering has done on this project when someone exclaimed without qualification that the project just doesn't comply with the stormwater management regulations. That needed to be addressed, Mr. Mello, okay? And I needed this board, this commission, to understand that the applicant has come before you with qualified professionals that are standing by their professional qualifications and their ethical obligations, and I'm defending them. I'm defending them when statements are made against them that they're not doing their jobs.
And
so to turn around and suggest you have a problem with my way of defending my people,
yes.
You know, I think I just want to make clear that we are responding to what has been directed at us as far as punitive, what we're seeing is punitive costs that are coming our way. All right, we're happy to pay costs, and frankly, as you know, this applicant has never missed a payment that this board has requested of it. So you know, we're willing to pay all fees that are reasonable, but we just needed to put this commission on notice that we have concerns, and I'm happy to hear those concerns were at least heard. But I don't think that the intent was to suggest I was digging anything up. I just wanted to point out that we have credentialed experts that are putting their names and their designations on the line, and we would respect the same, or we would expect the same courtesy and response in allowing us to have a collaborative discussion rather than what we saw as just a drive-by when we weren't even present to answer some of those statements about compliance with the stormwater management regulations and other concerns that were raised.
Okay, you made a mistake. Fix it.
I'm sorry, is that the notice of intent comment about the, to what mistake was that reference? And I'm sorry, I couldn't tell where that came from.
Bill Burnett.
Yeah.
He wants a clarification, Bill. Bill?
Yes, this is a violation of the open meeting law.
What's that?
Yeah.
Because of my hearing, I miss a lot of the comments. So I'm just telling you that that the reason your abutter notification only was proposed driveway, not a development. This is in violation of the open meeting law.
So did town council advise on that, or is that a legal conclusion that the town council has drawn? I'm sure, you know, if attorney cost, town council, did an attorney opine on that conclusion? Because again, I have not reviewed, I don't have the cover page up in front of me. And again, I don't know, what particular deficiency is being cited. I do know that notices, or at least the standards associated with those, are oftentimes more lax than you're describing. But again, where is this coming from?
Mr. Chair, it's not coming from anyone. It's something that Beta noticed recently when we're going back through the original notice of intent. I think Mr. Driscoll, who's on, can probably take a look at his submittal and see the abutter notice included in an appendix. And the description of the project is very inaccurate and very understated as far as what the actual project is. So I think it's important that a new notice goes out to abutters so that they understand what project is proposed next to them. And it's just simply as that. And so I don't think there's any reason to get advice from town council. I think it's pretty clear what's needed here. New notice and then just a representation of the project at a public meeting.
Excuse me, members of the commission, Brad Holmes with ECR. Does anybody have the legal notice that was originally posted in the newspaper? I'm sure it's part of the record. That would probably have all the listings that you would need.
It's the abutter notice, Brad.
Thank you.
Legal notice. It's the abutter notice, Brad, not the illegal notice.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would just suggest if we're going to go down the road, if the board's going to vote to move it to a different date, that we also try to get it on an earlier date if the board is amenable to that, so that the applicant can at least move forward and possibly the 10th that we talked about earlier, if that's possible.
If I may, as an audience participation, my name is Elizabeth Kyle. I'm an attorney at Hill Law, and we represent some people in the community. And it's a very serious matter that this project was not noticed correctly and that it was described and so minimized as a reconstruction of an existing driveway. So I appreciate that you'd like to try to accommodate the applicant notwithstanding this deficiency, but there needs to be enough time for them to get the notice out and for people to receive it properly. So I just ask that whenever you schedule it for, that there's enough time for the abutter notice so that everything with the open meeting law and the abutter's rights can be protected. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I would agree also. When I had said the 10th, assuming that that's enough days, obviously, we want to do things right, Attorney Augustino, and obviously to the applicant. We also want to do things right. So if there is something that was misleading in any way, we just want to be across board and clear that up as well.
So just two questions. I heard from Attorney Pyle at Hill Law. Obviously, I think it isn't fair to suggest that the neighbors don't know what's going on this project site. The neighbors have actually sued the applicant over the permit, so they're well aware of the plans and the status of this project. And I think it's a little strange to state that they wouldn't know what was going in there. I would also ask, it's my understanding that Hill Law actually represented the Conservation Commission at one point in this matter. Hill Law actually served the complaint that the Conservation Commission brought against the applicant back in December, actually trying to invalidate the comprehensive permit in this matter. So, I find it a little odd that you're now claiming that you represent the abutters when previously you were acting on behalf of the commission. So that's another, discrepancy that I think we should make clear as far as your role in this. But just in a very brief review, I would note that the actual Wetlands Protection Act The law about a butter notification says nothing specific about a detailed, accurate description of the activity. If the notice provided notice of the hearing and a designation of where abutters are able to go to get the plans to review what is being proposed for an activity, that's what's required under the law. Again, I don't have the regulations up in front of me. I think our time could be better used this evening by addressing some of the concerns. And then if I consult with the board's counsel, and again, this isn't a beta question, okay? I think this is a legal conclusion, and I'd be concerned if beta is making legal conclusions about the open meeting law and the legality of the notice. That's something, let's use our time this evening to talk about the engineering, all right? And then if it's determined that we think we have a problem, then we'll correct our problem. If we come back to you and we say we don't believe we have a problem, if you want to deny us because you think you have a problem, or if Hill Law decides that they're representing the abutters again rather than representing the commission, they can sue the commission if the commission decides to go forward with it. But we've prepared for this meeting. We submitted our peer review responses a few weeks back, and we would expect to have a discussion on it. And again, this goes back to, we know you're doing your best, okay? We know these are difficult issues, and we know that this particular project has triggered some strong feelings. But I think it's unfair for the commission to spring this on us after we've prepared for this meeting tonight. And I think we should go forward with it. And if we respond after, we'll deal with it after. There's no reason to delay us for a week when this just came up. So, I'd like to know when this issue was first discovered. If it was discovered minutes before this meeting, then I can appreciate you raising the concern. It still doesn't mean that we should completely abandon all the effort that we've put into to present issues such as stormwater management, protection of habitat and upland around potential vernal pools and vernal pools, which we're prepared to do. So, it's up to the board, it's up to the commission, but I just think, you've indicated that you're concerned about fairness. I mean, you have to put yourselves in our shoes. I think it's a little unfair to spring this on us, after the preparation that we've gone through this evening.
If I may, Commission.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I can be recognized. Thank you very much. I just like to say that Attorney Agostino is throwing a lot of mud at you guys, and this is really very unfortunate that he's misrepresenting all of these things here before you this evening. But he says there's nothing in the law that says that their description of the project has to be accurate. Come on.
Really?
A reconstruction of a driveway is not the same thing as a massive 40B development. And for him to say that I represent every neighbor in the community and that they all know is a complete misrepresentation. We have a discrete number of clients, and I can assure you that we do not represent every abutter, and that people that are around the site, if they were not informed correctly, this is a violation of the open meeting law, and we would request that the commission continue the matter so that the law is complied with. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I read?
Can somebody post the legal notice that was noticed by the abutters? Can we put that on the screen? Does anybody have the abutter notice that was sent out? I think it's the typical DEP notification. I think we're maybe wasting our time.
I think this is Marty Nova, the Beta Group. Greg Driscoll, who prepared the notice of intent booklet? It was in the appendix, so they should have a copy of it. They can bring up.
Maybe we could put it on screen, and I think it follows DEP's abutter notification guidelines. We may be wasting our time here back and forth.
Well, it's funny because this doesn't look like what's in the notice of intent.
No.
This is the notice of intent.
No, this is a recent,
No,
this is a recent notification that our agent put in place since COVID.
Yeah, and this is what you're talking about
Original-
here.
Yes.
oh yes, there it is. It's part, yeah, there it is. Proposed work is for reconstruction and improvements of an existing driveway. This is, I know why.
Mr. Chairman, may I read the requirements for notice under the Wetlands Protection Act? And again, essentially,
I'm sorry.
may I read the requirements for notice under the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40?
No.
We're not even going to consider what the law requires? You're going to make the decision?
Requires.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, we know what the law requires.
And if this is a
Secretary
typo,
knows what the law requires. Our consultant knows what the law requires. We're just dragging this on and on and on.
I think what you're suggesting is that, you know, if that's a typo in the abutter notification, you're suggesting that the typo invalidates the notice of intent. And again, I haven't had an opportunity to review the law on this and relevant cases. Attorney Watsky's on the line this evening. He's a Wetlands Protection Act specialist, and he's also a consultant and attorney for the developer. I'd ask him whether he's aware of anything, but under Chapter 131, Section 40, there is absolutely nothing in the law itself that requires a description, a specific description of the activity. Now, if the DEP has guidance, that's one thing, but you're saying that, you know, it's whether or not it makes it fatal. It ruins the application altogether. But the law just says, you know, where the activity is proposed and where you can find the plans. So, I mean, again, we're at the commission's mercy. I think this evening, unfortunately, is indicative of a lot of the feelings that seem to be brewing behind the scenes. And I was hoping this evening we would get beyond that and be able to discuss the merits of this application and the proposed activity. But if the commission wants us to go back and review the requirements of the law and submit a memo on this topic, then we'll do that. If we think we have a problem, then we have to fix it. But at first glance, again, having been, you know, presented with this issue this evening in this manner, you know, I don't really have an opportunity to fully respond, other than to say I'm happy to read what the general law requires so that the commission can hear it and maybe make a determination for themselves. But, you know, I think we're trying to get to the merits. And I don't think this evening.
A new notice can be sent out tomorrow. And how far in advance, Chris, of a meeting do we need to send notice?
If it's formal notice, it's publication.
Not the legal ad, the abutter notices.
Oh, it's certified mail 14 days in advance.
Charlie, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Actually, you know what?
Charlie, can you hear me? Just a minute, Mr. Augustino.
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes.
Can someone make a motion to have Marty contact DEP on this issue?
Well, why don't we go through, let Greg talk.
Let's what?
Greg Bristol is talking and I want to hear what he had to say.
I was asking the attorneys on the call, how far ahead of a meeting do abutter notices need to be mailed? Because it's a very quick revision to the letter. They can be printed and mailed tomorrow.
If I may address it, this
7 days prior.
My recollection is it's
7 days.
Yeah.
7 days, calendar days.
Okay. So that would probably make it for the next meeting if you guys had another.
I can't understand anything Mr. Driscoll says.
If I add, Mr. Chair, if I can just add, hopefully to make the commission feel better about this whole process. I mean, the recent submittal in response to Beta's March 17th letter was received May 10th. And that was by electronic copy. We got the hard copy the next day or the following day after that. So we haven't had time to review that May 10th submittal.
Well, the only thing that was sent on May 10th was the pipe calculations. You had everything else on the 6th.
That was on the 11th. The May 10th is when you sent the response. But anyways, that being said,
I sent two responses. One on May 6th. And then I followed up a couple days later with the pipe calculations, which there was plenty of other stuff to review before then.
Okay. Regardless, we haven't had a chance to review the documents anyway. So, the time, leading up to the next meeting, we'll be able to look at that response. So there really isn't lots of time. And at this point, we're waiting on the commission's official approval to go ahead with the next review anyways, because there was some issue with payment and whether or not the applicant was going to pay for the peer review, but I believe that's been settled. So I think we can move on.
So Marty, how much time would you need for the review and what would you recommend for meeting date?
At this point, we'll need probably 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
Actually, just to follow up on the cost for the peer review, yes, we have submitted a check. I understand the commission does have funds available in its 53G account. And as we've said, we will pay reasonable peer review fees, as long as the scope of review is appropriate. I think the only lingering question that I had was, did this commission engage Gary James PE directly, or is there a separate engagement through Beta? Because my understanding is that Mr. James is not an engineer at Beta, and I just want to make sure everyone's clear about who's working for who and who's paying who, and how the charges are being conveyed through, given that we would have expected a Beta engineer would be involved in the project.
I can answer that. Unfortunately, tragic loss of Todd required some reassignment of his projects that he was working on. So Gary James is a professional engineer in the state of Massachusetts. I've worked with him for 40 years. Gary James is working on other Beta projects that were Todd's, just to keep the process moving along. Otherwise, there would have been a big time lag based on workload. So we have an engagement with Gary. He's again at Mass PE, stormwater professional. Worked with him for 40 years. Have hired him in the past on many projects and have worked with him in the past on many projects. Matter of fact, is well known on the South Shore as one of the best engineers. So.
Thank you, Marty. If Marty says that's the way it's going, that's the way it's going.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
So it looks like this meeting is going to be continued anyway, Mr. Agostino. And
Can't hear you, Charlie. Sorry.
I'm talking to Mr. Agostino.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Since Beta hasn't been able to review we're not going to make any progress tonight. And apparently, Mr. Driscoll is going to solve the abutter notice problem.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak, please? This is Mr. Hashem.
Yeah, well, let Mr. Mello finish.
Oh, I'm finished.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on the deficiency in the notice, because it seems to me that the notice was very clear what the project, where the location of the project and the scope of the project. I'm not clear as to what the deficiency in the notification is before we go ahead and send it, let's make sure that we all understand what the deficiency in the notification is.
Well, it's my understanding.
Marty, can you do it again, please?
Sure. In the description in the abutter notice states, for the project description, states the proposed work is for reconstruction and improvements of an existing driveway.
But
Thank you.
But on the same,
Not the project.
on the same sheet, it states the scope of the where the project is, and the same sheet states all of that.
Maybe we could use the public notification that went out in the newspaper and add that to it.
Greg Driscoll, are you clear on what the change in the notification?
Yeah, actually, I've already started typing it up.
Okay.
I was going, just paraphrasing what I started typing here is the proposed work is for the construction of a 40B comprehensive project permit project consisting of so many single-family homes, so many townhouse units, so many cottage-style units. I need to get the numbers for a total of 116 units with associated roadways, infrastructure, and drainage facilities.
Much better.
That's detailed, very good.
If I could be heard, Mr. Chairman, this is Matthew Watsky.
Well, you certainly could.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had the camera off. I would suggest that as Greg revises that notice, that it include a description of the extent to which work is actually taking place within wetlands jurisdiction, because that's what's actually important in the wetlands protection regulatory program. So the description of the project as a whole is far less important than a description of the work that's taking place within wetlands jurisdiction. I will review the notice with Greg.
Thank you. Charlie, Kevin, Jack?
I imagine that seeing how Beta's gonna review it, we might as well continue it till Beta's done with their review.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Chris Agostino again. I would hope in the interim, since there have been quite a few peer review documents that have been exchanged, and in particular, we still have that statement hanging out there that we were concerned about, that the project doesn't comply with the stormwater management regulations. Beta has been funded, and apparently Mr. James has been engaged, and this commission's comfortable with his scope. I would ask that the commission allow him to collaborate with Mr. Driscoll to vet any major discrepancies or major differences that he perceives in compliance with the stormwater management regulations. Just because the original peer review report that we got from Beta under Todd Undis's guidance and supervision ballooned in the March 15th report. And usually we want to see a situation where discrepancies are being solved and narrowed. And it appears that, when we received the March 15th report, we were really taken aback by some of the requests in there. So, rather than have the ballooning sort of ball rolling down the hill here of peer review comments, I think some collaboration is appropriate, and hopefully Mr. James and Mr. Driscoll can get together and discuss some of those differences.
I think that's fair.
It's fine.
So hopefully we can schedule something soon.
Okay, very good.
Okay, maybe.
Okay. Are we looking for a continuance motion?
Yeah, let's continue with Charlie till Beta they get the reviews done.
Well, our next regular meeting is on June 17th.
Correct.
Satisfactory? Okay. I'll make a motion that we continue the hearing for Strawberry Fields till June 17th. And I do hope that there will be collaboration between the engineering services, between ours and Mr. Driscoll.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Oh. We want to get
What next,
Lisa back?
Charlie?
I got update on an as-built on 1361 Main Street. If Lisa's there.
Yeah, Lisa can come back now to the meeting.
Yeah. Where's Lisa?
Okay, I'm
Hey,
back.
Lisa.
As-built on 1361 Main Street, Lisa.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a summary of what's happening with that one. So the Only Jones have been in communication. I've sent you guys all the photos and the letter that they sent us. And my response was, here's the orders of conditions. You should take them to your attorney and discuss them. So since then, I have received a call and an email, and I'm going back and forth with the gentleman's name. Oh, so many emails here, guys. Let me see here. Steve Patty.
Lisa, is this up at the end of Main Street?
Yes.
No, it's one down from the corner. It's the Colonial, not the Cape.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I've advised them that we will not be issuing a certificate of compliance until the restoration is complete. So at this point, that's where they're at, discussing who's going to be responsible for that. I know they're in the audience, and I don't know if they want to talk at all.
Yes.
I'd like to talk, Lisa.
Okay.
I originally, when you sent the email, like you had, the original owner had photos of the condition of the property when he bought it. And it was pretty clear to me that the 25-foot no-touch zone had been touched long before he bought the house. And these people that own it now bought from the original owner.
Well, the original owner was Roderick.
I know who it was.
And then then it went to Only Jones.
I wish that I hadn't, whatever happened to the photos that accompanied the original owner's last conversation with you were explicit. The place was already altered when he bought it. Another problem, we're talking about a 25-foot no-touch zone that was already touched when the guy bought the house. It was completely graded, fenced, the wall is visible. All he did was put a shed up and put a couple of little gardens in for whatever.
Well, so yeah, there's Phil there too.
Yes. Well, it seems to me very unfair that we're going to force a waiver, force the removal of all that stuff when he and the current owner weren't responsible for the problem. They had no idea.
How do we know that?
Photos, Lisa. We have sent you categorical evidence with with metadata because you questioned our dates. And we sent you all of that data along as proof that there was no fill. You have made categorical accusations against us, filling in that wetland area within the last 2 years, I believe, if I quote you correctly, and that you have got photographs. We have requested from the commission those photographs to back up your statements and your
Well, if you,
accusations.
okay, if you go on the
They're not
aerial
been able to
photos,
do
they're
that.
public information and you
No,
can see that excuse me, you can see that there's been work done. Whether it was cleared and filled
Prove it.
prior is a different situation, but there's
Exactly.
definitely work done within the 25 foot. However, you did buy it that way. And like we tell everybody else, if you buy a mess, you bought the mess. You have to clean the mess.
And you really think that's fair?
I do.
Do you, in your heart of hearts, that you are going around Dayton looking at,
You signed the paperwork and bought the property and they disclosed to you that there were wetlands and an order of conditions, correct?
No, they did not.
They
You
told
had
me
to
that they
say
did.
with a lawyer.
Mr. Patty told me that he disclosed that to you.
No, he did not. He did not. You did, Lisa. You actually included it in your email to us. That's the first time we had seen those orders of condition. There is nothing in our signature. There is nothing in our closing packet that has those orders in it. We were unaware of it until we sold the property and the new owners brought it to our attention. We're like, what the hell is this?
Was anything recorded on the deed or anything?
Yeah, it was recorded.
Yeah, and that evidently that was not conveyed to us. And even when we went back to Tony Roderick's attorney and said, why hasn't it been done? And we also contacted Tony Roderick. Basically, Tony Roderick told us to go fuck ourselves. And pretty much that language.
Well,
And
we shouldn't use that language on a public forum.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just repeating what was said.
Yeah.
And I do apologize for the language. What I'm saying is Charlie has got, a fair comment here. We're making people responsible when the whatever you call fill or whatever was already done when we bought the property. We've already proven that to you. You are now counteracting our proof, saying that there was stuff done within the 2 years. We're asking you for the proof. You can't do that.
I just have a quick question. So when you bought the property, it was on the deed, correct?
We don't know. When we bought the property, we didn't know. Because I will tell you straight away, Kevin, had we known that there were wetlands and all of this, this controversy of using your own property, we wouldn't have bought that property. We're not stupid. If somebody told me that, oh, by the way, you're going to buy all this property. You're going to buy almost two acres of land. Oh, but you can't use the side. You can't use the side yard. Because it's a wild blueberry bush on it.
Okay, so Mr.
point.
Patty did tell me that it was something that was disclosed to folks. However, it doesn't affect the title in that it only affects the use of the property. So I don't know how it was disclosed, but he said it was disclosed.
We will call him bold-faced liar to his face. He is the manager of the attorney that did the closing for us when we originally bought the property. This is how serious it's gotten within their office.
Right.
Because we said, if this is a title issue, then you need to file a title claim against the title insurance. Because I don't think that this is just common sense. You're talking about 160 feet, 160 square feet. So it's a small, tiny little piece over by the raised beds that is quote unquote wetlands, which there were no wetlands there when we bought it, okay?
But it's not just wetlands, it's 25 feet out. We protect 25 feet out.
Okay, exactly what I'm trying to say, Lisa. Had we known that we couldn't use any of that area over there, we would not have bought that property. I can categorically say that to you. And what we're also saying is that, your comment in your email about, the commission was just a bunch of volunteers, in the past, blah, 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 blah. This goes right back to the previous caller. Sorry, it's still a recognized entity by the state of Massachusetts. And I appreciate it. And believe me, I've served on 2 committees in Dayton, so I know how they work. And, this is just absolute nonsense. You're talking 160 feet. You're now going to take a very beautiful home, which now sits on top of what used to be a junkyard with old wrecked cars, piles of tires. We've actually walked out into the forest area behind the house and found mattress box springs and tents and stuff. And it's like, I can't believe this. I don't understand why draw a line in the sand. We did not do anything beyond the rock wall, as we were told to not do. We didn't do it. So now we're just talking about this small area, it's like draw a line in the sand. In fact, it was also going to be Bob Baribi's, excuse me, Lisa, I'm still speaking as well.
No, excuse me. We're not drawing a line in the sand. That was a delineated wetland with a 25-foot no touch, and whether you touched it or someone else did, the point is it's disturbed and the commission regulates those areas. I'm sorry that you're in this situation, but we need to just figure out how to fix it.
Well, how are you gonna deal with the new owners?
We don't have to have this conversation with you at this time. You're not even the owner. So if you just want to pass this on to them, go ahead. That's your choice.
I'd like to make another comment, Lisa.
Lisa, we will not be passing anything on to anybody. That is your responsibility as part of the commission. We don't know them. Due to COVID restrictions, we never even met them. We now live over 3.5 hours away. This is now your responsibility to notify them of what your requirements are and deal with them.
Bill?
Could I make a comment?
Please do.
Lisa, is there not a stone wall that runs through the back of this property that separates the house and the upland area from the wetland?
There is a stone wall. However, I don't know if maybe Tony had modified that wall.
The stone wall is there, and I think it was it's just the original stone wall. I mean, that's a barrier to the wetlands better than any 25-foot no touch zone. I know it's part of our bylaw, but we can waive parts of our bylaw. In this case, I agree with this gentleman. I just don't see the sense in making them remove little garden and a shed. It's in uplands. It may be a 25-foot no touch zone, but the stone wall is a better no touch zone than anything else. It separates the house from the wetlands directly.
Listen, you guys approved the house. I wasn't here then. You guys approved the project. So
Sure.
if that's going to be a determination, that's fine. But I just want you guys to understand in the future, we don't have to approve such a large structure and disturbances. Just because someone puts it before us doesn't mean we have to approve it.
So the 25 is, I can actually request a variance, right? They could actually request a variance for it.
Yeah, we could issue a waiver for it.
If they requested.
Well, first things first, is there a certificate of compliance? No, there isn't. So we have to close that out before anything new comes before us.
I think the main problem is, and then the board could actually look at it in the future. If something like this ever happens again, where a change of property, so it's actually written down what our procedure is, because unless we ask DEP or ask town council, like who do you go? If, like right now, they're 3.5 hours away, and now you have a new owner. Somebody should have did their due diligence and seen that these things were in place.
Well, they
And then
did.
now we're
They
chasing
sold,
everyone.
they just sold it to the new owner, knowing that they were in this situation. They sold it at just a few months ago, after I started.
And what did the new owner say?
I don't know.
Well, they're trying to get a certificate of compliance is what they're
No,
trying to do.
the new owners are not. The new owners haven't even come to our meeting, Charlie. Only Jones is the previous owner. Only Jones is the original owner from Tony Roderick, that bought from Tony Roderick.
Well, it's pretty clear to me, Lisa. I looked at the pictures. I tried to get them back up, but I popped them somewhere and they're in La La Land on the internet. But I remember looking at them. It was graded right to the wall. And they took pictures from in the house. And then the metadata proved that they took them when they bought or just before they bought the house. So the original owner didn't make the changes. Tony did. And it just seems to me it's really not important. Our bylaw situation in that particular case isn't worth a damn. It's only going to cause a lot of grief for the current owner to have to remove sheds, rip up.
Well, the shed isn't it doesn't have a footing or anything. I mean, it can just be moved, but in this case, I mean, honestly, the only thing I would really be looking for is a few shrubs. I would like the fill removed, but shrubs will do the trick.
Couldn't you do this? Couldn't you close out well, if somebody requested a variance, but with that variance, you could say, if the board decided, they granted the variance, however, with possibly a condition, put a bush here, no further disturbance at all.
There's no room for disturbance anyway, Kevin.
I know, but
It's up the whole backyard.
in case somebody decided.
No,
thinking
it's
outside
not the
box.
whole backyard. It's just that corner.
It's abutted by a stone wall, right?
Yep, there's a stone wall and there's some fill, and then there's a yard and a driveway and a shed and.
Yeah, well, like I say, for, what is it, 80 some square feet or whatever, that's not a very big strip. And like I say, with the wall there and everything else, I don't see why we can't offer a revised deal and close this out.
But they would have to request the variance, correct?
They have to request a certificate of compliance for us, and you guys have to grant it. And then the new owners, we have to contact them and let them know that there is a violation on their property that they need to deal with.
Well, if we grant a waiver, they don't have to deal with anything.
Yeah, if we waive it.
But Lisa's right, though. There is still a condition out there. So you have to at least close that out somehow.
Yeah, but we can waive the thing there and you know, issue it that way. You know, I mean,
So
80
what
square feet.
has to happen is someone needs to come before us with the as-built plan and the certificate of compliance request. And the engineer or surveyor that is being used, which I think is Proline in this case, needs to come and tell us what the actual deviations are from the plan that was approved. And once you see the deviations, you can either issue them a certificate of compliance, issue them a partial certificate of compliance, or tell them no. So that's how we would move forward.
And Lisa, I'm not too familiar with this, but when they get the certificate of compliance, can you also record something on the deed that says no further disturbance?
Yeah, well, it gets recorded. The certificate of compliance gets recorded.
Yeah, but something, yeah, with specifically the language again, so this doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
the
for
stone wall
fourth
shall
time.
act as the barrier, yeah, we could limit a disturbance. Mhm. So I guess it's just up to them. Either, you know, I guess if we don't receive something in the next 60 days or something, it could potentially become an enforcement issue. Right now, you know, we've got someone working with us on it, so.
This is just Trevor speaking. I believe that Bob Berube from Proline has already supplied the commission with the as-built plan. And my understanding, which obviously we can get confirmation from him, is that there were no deviations from the 2B and the as-built. So if that's all that you're currently looking for to be able to move forward to issue a certificate of compliance, then hopefully that's something we can organise very early next week.
Are you trying to tell me we're done with this issue?
I think we're hoping so.
Because, you know, through your silence.
I mean, we're hoping so.
Well, I mean, is there any more discussion here? I would like to discuss one thing with the commission. In my experience, I've been noticing a lot of times when we allow projects to be built on tight lots, 90% of the time there's a problem. And I feel like we need to really consider it going forward, and consider, you know, if they're buying a 4-bedroom house, are they gonna want a tiny yard or are they gonna wanna expand? 90% of the time, they're gonna wanna expand it. They're gonna want a pool. They're gonna wanna be able to park their trailer. So, you know, we're running into the same kind of problems. So we just need to consider that when we're approving these 4-bedroom homes, that they actually do want a yard and they are gonna end up trying to clear or working in an area they shouldn't be. In this case, it was probably, it seems like it was most likely the seller that did it, but.
There's not much question.
Thank you, Lisa.
Sure. I mean, you know, I moved to the country. I wanted a yard. That's what most people think. They want a yard when they live in the country. They don't expect to be buying a 4-bedroom home on a couple acres of land and not be able to use any of it. It's just an observation I wanted to bring to your attention.
No, you're right, Lisa, because people keep pushing, they'll keep spreading out a little more and a little more.
Yeah.
And in the end, they say, oh, I wasn't sure, I didn't know, but there is an impact, so.
In
There
this
is.
case, Kevin, there is a solid stone wall preventing any damage to the wetland. There's
No,
no
I
way
agree.
we're gonna push beyond that point,
Yeah.
not without getting an enforcement order.
No, I agree. That's why this one sounds easier and
Yeah. I agree with you, Charlie.
I mean, it just seems senseless to me to force these people to try to move stuff out. They have a nice looking backyard and they inherited a nice, clean, open area. So they used it. Unfortunately, the original builder didn't pass on much information, not his style. I guess most builders don't pass on information that would interfere with the sale.
Correct.
Have we come to some kind of a decision on what we're going to do with this?
Well, I would hope that the current gentleman that was on the line would apply for a variance and we can issue something.
Okay.
Okay, how do we do that? Because we're unfamiliar with how the policy, how that process works.
I can't understand anything they say.
I'm sorry, what
written-
you're asking
written
for a
application.
variance? Yeah, how do we go about getting you a variance? Because we will get that
It-
to you as soon as possible.
It's a request for certificate of compliance. and just list out the deviations from the original approved plan. And we, yeah,
Okay. All right, we'll get our attorney to resubmit it again.
yeah,
That's
Very
the
good.
yeah, because make sure it's accurate this time, because I don't think she filled it out right the
Okay.
first time. Mhm.
Okay, we will approach her, and I will be having words with tomorrow to get as much information as we can in order to process this. And the commission, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can finally put this to. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah. No.
Bye.
Update on 1035 William Street.
All right, I have that update. He was not able to attend the meeting because he gets up super early. The gentleman's name is Robert Martin, unless he's here right now. Okay, so we wrote a letter and he contacted me in response to the letter. And he has hired Outback Engineering. I suggested, so Outback Engineering was the original firm that did the house. He hired Outback Engineering to come out and relocate the flags. What happened here is somehow he was able to get a building permit for a garage. That's probably a third or half the size of his house. While he still had an open order of conditions with us. All right. So he claimed he knew there was some wetlands, but didn't really know where they were. Started clearing trees in the backyard, cleaning it up, I guess they call it. So the letter kind of with the orders of conditions kind of came in as a little surprised, but then he admitted to me, hey, I bought my house during COVID and I signed the papers really quick because the lawyer told me to get in and out quick. So he didn't really look at the fact that he had an open order on that. So he says he's willing to work with me to restore it. Luckily, he hadn't filled that backyard. However, he came really close. He was definitely in a portion of the wetlands clearing and in the 25-foot no touch. And along the driveway, same thing, because he expanded his driveway for the garage. He needed a turnaround area for large tow trucks because he owns a tow built business. In any case, he's willing to work with us. Outback's rehanging the flags, staking them because some of the trees are down. The 25-foot no touch. And we're gonna put together with Outback, some sort of a restoration. He's willing to do a little give and take. I told him we're not gonna make him tear his garage down. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on where things were at with that one.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
You did the right thing, Lisa.
Yeah, and the Outback said they should be out the first week in June. So we should have something, or at least a good update by the next meeting. I'm already sending him some plant information so he can see what he can plant out there for trees and shrubs. All right, next we have Beardos, Mr. Beardos, 2396 Pleasant Street.
Yes.
Is he here? Okay, he's not here. So he sent me an email. On May 5th, he talked to Lighthouse Engineering and he is going to do the job. He came by for a little bit, did a little surveying, but it's not complete. So he didn't send me an update since May 5th. I'll follow up with him on Monday. All right, next we have Mr. DeRosa. Is he here?
Apparently not.
Okay. Apparently there's some things going on with that property other than what's going on with us. I do have a letter he sent us. I forwarded to you guys. I think you guys must have saw it on April 21st. I don't know if I need to read it for the record, but I will. So he said he wants to be upfront and transparent with us regarding a few issues involving the land. Since he bought the property, there has been major turmoil with his neighbor, not fully understanding not only by the laws, but conservation laws regarding wetlands, as well as under some direction from certain board members, and being young and not being level-headed. I had definitely done some things that have cost me not only thousands of dollars, but years of aggravation and simply not being able to function with my business and customers. I know there has been efforts in the past where I have gathered everything up. I could stop work on the property and try to resolve the issues at hand. I have hired Delano and Brandon to locate the flags, and then shortly after, John retired. It's a circle that I just can't seem to get away with, even after I moved my business out of town. As you know, I have retained Lighthouse to locate the flags and put in poles. I honestly do not have the finances to pay for a botanist or an engineer. I have not had money to pay my taxes. I'm delinquent. I'm not asking for any sort of special treatment here. I will be more than happy to work with the commission to do everything. Just put this past behind us. I'll put the siltation controls up, whatever we need to do. The two people that park there know they're not able to dump anything, and I will honestly, if I have to, ask them to move out of the property. As I told you and Jim, it's Jim Aguirre prior, I will do that. I understand there is only so much that you can do. I'm just out of options, and I sit here awake thinking and stressed out, and I just figured not saying anything isn't going to fix the issues. So he sent that to us, and I acknowledge that we received it. However, I don't know how the commission wants to respond.
Just for the record, Lisa, I sent every one of our commission members the same thing we just read.
Okay.
So they did their homework. They already know that.
Yeah. All right. Well,
But I'm sure nobody did their homework.
well, do you want me to follow up with him? I mean, what do you guys want? Where do you want to take this?
Well, he's offering to what? Remove the piles of dirt? Or
You said he had barriers there as well?
He said he's willing to put some barriers
Oh,
up.
willing to put barriers, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the problem is he's got all those piles, so where's he gonna dispose of those, you know?
Yeah, he has a plan. What's the plan for the piles?
I don't know, we were supposed to have someone come relocate the flags, and we were gonna work with him on a restoration plan, but he's saying he can't afford to do that, so.
Yeah, as long as
He's
it's
gonna place the
no
flag.
other disturbance, and he's putting some barriers.
If he what, I'm sorry?
I said as long as there's no other disturbance and he's putting up barriers, so you would have to go verify, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem is he's gonna be putting some of the barriers right in the wetland, because he's in the wetland in a portion of the site, so.
I didn't know how far he's in.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted him to have them relocate the flags, so I don't have to go do that work for him, because technically I shouldn't be doing that work for people, you know?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. So kind of at a rock and a hard place with this one, and he didn't show up unfortunately, so I really don't know what that means. But I can follow up with him and just let him know that our expectations are still for him to have the flags relocated, and we can take it from there.
Okay.
I was under the impression that he had already hired someone to put the flags up. Is that true?
He said he reached out to them, but he got the proposal, I think, and it was too much and he can't afford it.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, next, 2, 3, actually, do we want to deal with some of the people that are already here? I mean, I'll skip over 1050 Williams Street. Steve Reed, are you here?
We are.
Greg? Okay,
Yes, I'm here.
okay. So do you just want to give the commission an update? That would be really helpful.
Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yep.
I think you know as much as I do at this point. My last communication said that Outback was gonna come out, I want to say it was the end of the month.
Yep.
And they're gonna reflag it. And then I assume, or I was told that from that point they'll construct some kind of replication plan for the roadway. For anything that was disturbed, and that's pretty much all I was told.
Yep, as long as you are working with us to resolve the issues, and you did put up the chain, that's really all we can expect right now, and you're not allowing anyone to dump anything else in there.
No one's going back to it. Nope.
Sounds good to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, we gotta wait, the engineers show up and then we can go from there.
Yep, as fast as they move, I guess I'll move. When I'm told I can actually physically get back there and do something, you guys tell me what to do and we'll do it.
Yeah, well, we gotta get the reflagged and get the survey, and then we can move on from there.
Right. Yep, so I mean, it seems like they should have it in the next month or so, right? So,
He actually didn't say a time. He just said he was working on it. But
yeah,
hopefully by next meeting, we have something for you.
yeah, so I just wanna, let you know that, I mean, it's probably gonna require, it seems like 401 water quality permit as well, because you've got a culvert redirecting a stream, but Outback can figure all that stuff out. They do this stuff every day, they know.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
All right, so then we also have, Brand.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Brand lives at 246 Lincoln Ave.
We skipped right by the update on Hart Street.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that was because I was gonna read that. Wait a minute, is Paul Duhart here? Oh, he's here. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's all right. I can wait.
Oh, okay. Paul, you're here to give us an update on 578 Hart Street.
Yes,
Great.
you want me just to read the email that I sent you, or do you want to read the email to the committee?
Yeah, you can read it. That's fine. My eyes are going a little cross-eyed right now.
So since the last time we have hired a professional engineer from Civil Environmental Consultants, which has performed a site visit and advised us on the continuation of the necessary means and measures needed to continue to prevent any silt-laden runoff from our property during construction. We have received a draft and are just waiting for a final copy, which I can send over to you once we receive it. Grading around the septic system has been continuing during this time from our last meeting. I currently do not have a completion date due to unforeseen conditions and circumstances. That being said, we have graded a large area on the north side of the property, which is the rear of the house, and have grass already established. On the southern side, front of the house, we also have an area that has been seeded and grass is also growing, including the area over the septic leaching field, which you had, I'm sure you've seen it from your site visit on 5/17. Even with grass established on a large area of the property and vegetation, siltation fencing, hay bales, swales, check dams, and erosion control blankets continue to be in place and maintained as they have been in the past during construction. To my knowledge, I have the RDA paperwork is completed. I just need to file it. I know one of the other things, Lisa, that you had asked me was as-builts, which I believe it's Proline that's going to be doing my as-builts. I'm under the impression from speaking to Proline that will be completed once we have the grading completed, just so that it can be accurate. And that's pretty much it. Lisa, you received that email, correct?
I did, yeah, and
Did you
was
pass
this
it over
morning.
to the? Yes, and yes.
I
send it
did
over.
not forward it, but you just read
Okay.
it. So, that's good. So you're going to continue to be inspecting your erosion controls during or after each rain, right? And document.
Yep. Well, when you say document, what do you want? The documentation? You want pictures? You want just
yeah,
jotted
the
down?
Photos and yeah, I mean.
Okay.
That's important. So can we plan on safely? I know you said you don't know when your septic's going to be done, but.
Well, the septic is in place, just so we're clear. I'm clear on that. When I say it's not done, the septic is in place. The leaching field is done. When I say the septic is not done, what I'm referring to is just the backfilling around it. I believe it's 15 feet I need to have of backfill around it. I am pretty much right there with the 50 feet. Actually, I'm more than that. All I need now is to bring up in that 15-foot from the edge of the foundation. From the edge of the septic field. I just need to bring it up to grade. That's what Proline is, and also the Board of Health is looking for, is the as-built that show final finished grade. So when I say the septic's not complete, it is installed. It's just a matter of just grading now.
So that's the 15 feet, the breakout.
Yes.
Yeah. So in case it did, so it doesn't pop out the side, you have that.
Exactly. Slope. Yes, and it's on. Well, one side is at the hill, so I have the 15 feet there and then some. I have 3 sides complete. I just have one side that I'm pretty much completed. Like I said, I just need to bring it up to grade so that it's at the correct grade, so that I can plant my grass around it.
Okay, is that the end of his presentation?
Bill, did you recuse yourself?
Yes.
I didn't hear you recuse yourself because we went right into this meeting and I started talking.
Kevin, would you take the meeting over, please?
Yeah, I'm an associate member. Maybe Charlie should.
Well, you don't have to vote. If you just conduct the meeting.
Okay. So, Lisa, do you have any other comments? So you were on the site on May 17th, you said?
Yeah, I was just there. It looks much better. You know, I'm happy to see the grass is coming up, but I want to see that be more stable, of course. And I do appreciate the fact that you've hired a consultant. I'm looking forward to looking at that report.
Okay. Yeah, we actually, my wife emailed, his name is Carlos, emailed him again today. I know he's been really swamped with work. And he's
Yeah.
supposed to get that back out to us. He did send us a draft. I do have a draft emailed to me, but I don't have the final.
Yeah, I'll just wait to see the final. I mean, it would just be good if I could get that in the next couple of weeks and you could, you know, figure out the final grading of your backfill area of your septic so that we can finish this. Curious to see the as-built.
Okay.
Well, first the commission. Charlie, you have anything?
No, I don't.
Jack, do you have anything?
No, I'm all set. He, you know, like I say, he's got his engineer and he's working on it.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the public want to be heard? Go ahead, Bill.
Let's just assume this project now is completely under control. It only took 6 years. But what are we going to do about the vernal pool that's now dead and the wetlands that's been filled with silt on my property? We need to address that, and we need to address it right now.
I don't, well, I'm in a particular spot where I'm the chair, all of a sudden the chair, but it's, I would say at this time, we are dealing with the project itself. Lisa's working with them, and I guess we could revisit that at a later date. Right now, unless I'm missing something.
No, I agree.
We're specifically talking about completing this project, correct?
Yes, I agree.
I understand that there's a considerable amount of silt on the property to the west of him, which is not, there's absolutely nothing to stop it from running down into the wetlands or the vernal pool. You can see that pretty easily with a Google map.
Can I ask this committee a question?
What's to be done about that?
In regards to that vernal pool, just so that I can be more informed on that? Because
I'm asking the commission. I don't need answers from Mr. Duat. I need answers from the commission. What's to be done about the vernal pool? The silt that's on Camara's property that can wash down into the vernal pool and my wetlands now.
Are we dealing with the Camara's
what's to be
property or are
done
we
with
dealing
that
with the Duat
commission?
property? Because right now,
Okay,
I
yeah,
believe,
let's hold on for a second. Lisa, right now, when you were out there last, did you see any areas of runoff,
Well,
silt running off?
it hasn't rained. I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
It's been really dry. So, you know, let's see. I mean, I can check the weather and see when it's going to rain again, and I can try to be out there.
No, we don't need to know about the rain. What we need to know about is what's going to happen with the silt that's on the Camara's property. And what's going to happen about the vernal pool that's no longer a vernal pool.
the Camaras are not at this meeting. The Camaras are not at this meeting.
Control your meeting, please.
Okay,
It's my
so-
turn.
Paul, let Mr.
wetlands that
Fournette
were
finish. Go
filled
ahead. So like I mentioned before, I really feel like where we are right now, in this particular spot, we were talking about the project itself. Mr. Duat did give us an update, and hearing from the other members, they were pleased to hear that there's some work always being done, that there's barriers in place. She did do the inspection. She seems pleased. He's still willing to, he wants to get this thing done. We can, I would say, moving forward, if you did have a complaint, you have every right to make a complaint, and we would hear it at that time.
I'm making a complaint right now. I need answers. From the
Charlie, do you
commission.
have any answers for Mr. Fournette?
What's that?
I'm asking the other commission members if they had any comments.
Oh, I need answers from Jack and Lisa and Charlie. What's
That's
going
it.
to happen about the vernal pool and the wetland violation on my property?
Well, right now, we don't know anything about the vernal pool. I don't anyway.
Well, can you go by and take a look? Is that asking too much?
No, is the spring peepers there?
There's none.
There's none.
It's dead. There's not a sound coming out of there.
Can I ask this committee a question? How is it that a complaint can be brought up at a committee meeting and not through the, I don't know, is this the proper channels? Is this how somebody files a complaint, is through a committee meeting? in
Well,
regards to something else?
it's a public
It's
meeting, so
one of the
Okay.
he was able to
Okay.
speak on it,
Okay.
yeah, so.
Okay. Well, then I got a question in regards to the vernal
We're
pool.
wandering away from the Hot Street condition. The vernal pool is another problem. And I'm not aware that there's silt on Kamara's property. He doesn't allow anybody to look.
I think Lisa was the one that informed me. So I looked on Google Earth, and boy, you could see it. You could see silt. This was a year ago, the picture that I looked at, but you could see silt, running along Kamara's, where he parks his trailer.
And that's a good point. If I could, Charlie brought up a good point. And we are stepping away from this. On the agenda, it was the address. I apologize. On Hot Street, what is it again, Mr. Duart, your address?
578.
So on the agenda is 578, so we should stay on the agenda item. So
Thank you.
if there is no other comments, I'd like to move on to the next agenda item. If you, Mr. Fournette, if you have a complaint, next meeting, you're more than welcome to bring up a complaint. But it would have to be on the agenda specifically as whatever it was, whatever the complaint was, so we can.
I have a complaint.
specifically
I was
talk
kind
about
of
that.
hoping I could get an answer from the commission now.
Yeah, but on the agenda, it's 578 Hot Street. I don't want to step away from that, violate
Well,
any.
we're
open
not
meeting.
stepping away from that. That's where the silt is coming from.
Well, we can't verify that for sure.
It has been coming from there for 6 years.
Anyway.
I think it's time to address it, if you don't mind, please.
Well, actually, maybe we should invite the landowners that own the land with the certified vernal pool to the next meeting.
Do that. Lisa, you want to reach out?
You've got the owner of the wetlands that were violated. I'm sitting right here.
Well, these are assertions.
You got information from the company that I had to hire to prove to you where the silt was coming from and how much was in there.
Well, we determined at the last meeting that it came from the ditch and the road. That was actually said at the last board meeting where it's coming from.
No.
Okay, so
yes,
we're going,
go back and listen to it.
We
Go
shouldn't
back
be
and listen
getting
to it because I
fired
have.
in this again.
Charlie has the floor, please.
Yes. We're dealing with 578 Hot Street, and if it's finished, then we're finished.
Yes, thank you. And I apologize for letting that actually linger. So can we please move on to the next agenda item? Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
So I'm not going to get any answers, and I gotta have my own meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
All
not
right.
going to go away, guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not going to go away.
As the chairman, you can come back to the meeting, and we're actually done with that agenda item.
Okay.
Mr. Cedrone is here for 246 Lincoln Ave. Brand Cedrone, can you please just tell the commission what's going on, like start at the beginning, because this is the first time you've come to a meeting.
Oh, sure. Can I make a statement first? Whatever stipends they give this board, it should be doubled with the junk you guys have to put up
The
with.
junk, I
We get
know,
zero.
right? They get nothing.
Oh,
We're
please.
volunteers.
They gotta have a stipend for you. That's not right. Can I bring it up?
It's called humor.
Yeah. And patience.
Like Willie Nelson says, what are we paying this guy? And they said nothing. Well, double his pay.
Well, thank you for waiting all night.
Oh, this is terrible. I'm on 246 Lincoln Avenue. you know, right near the 3 Mile River. And I have some property across the street from my house where Lisa's actually made some nice suggestions. And because I wanted to have a tree removed that's been dead for a long time. And I contacted a tree person, an arborist, and I don't know if he was going to do it right or not. He should have been in contact with Lisa by now to let her know that, you know, we're not going to move any earth or anything, but it is a tree that's a hazard. Lisa agrees it's a hazard, and we just want to have it taken down, you know, not the stump ground down or anything like that, but we don't want any of the branches to fall off and hit anybody. It's so dead. Once in a while, a big branch will fall off. So I say the tree's a hazard. And well, Charlie, you're a tree guy.
Yes, I am.
I remember when you worked for Hickson.
Yes, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, George. So I guess he's going to use a crane so that he can be on the street and not go onto the property and do any damage. And Lisa had some other concerns.
Well, he was gonna drop the limb in the river, and he admitted that.
No, he doesn't need to do that.
Mother Nature did that.
I'm sorry?
I said Mother Nature dropped the limb. You didn't.
God put the tree there is what I say, but, we would like to have it at least taken down, so maybe there's a stump left. But, you know, we don't want the tree to be a hazard, which it is now. And this brought up other issues that Lisa wanted us to put in some native vegetation, which we're in the process of doing. And the arborist had dumped some chips there for me that I wanted to spread very far back from the river. And they're not treated. These are untreated chips, so they're not a hazard. But Jim Digits saw the chips there and he felt the need to stop. I wish he was here tonight, but I don't feel a problem talking about him without him here. He's a pain in the ass. And he insulted my wife. And that's not necessary. I wish you could keep him away from me. You got to put a leash on that guy. You ought to fire him.
All right, let's
They
get
wanted
back
to
the
fire
tree.
him when he was a teacher. They wanted to fire him when he was a teacher.
Let's try to,
Stay with the tree.
we weren't there at the inspection. Let's just try to stay.
Okay, so I
try
got
to-
called in on that, and I showed up, and I'm glad I came when I did. So yeah, I guess the original problem was, you know, the Sidronis let people utilize the property for passive recreation, and then, you know, of course, you get some kids that are riding their bikes, and the earth is, you know, it's kind of disturbed, and you've got a bank there and a slope, so they were trying to stabilize it with mulch, and Jim was right, but he didn't come across the right way. The chips were just going to run off into the river, bottom line. So,
Well,
you know,
they're very far from the river, Lisa.
well, now they are. So I think bottom line is they need to stabilize with something. So we all agree that. And maybe it's some native grasses and things
Which
that
sounds
maybe,
like a great idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got the bank, and some parts of the bank, you know, may have been disturbed.
Lisa,
So,
can I ask a question?
yeah, go for it.
Has the property owner disturbed, altered any of that property?
Has what?
Has the property been altered or disturbed? I know it's in the riverfront
It's
area.
been over the years, so, you know, my concern was that the bank maybe could use a couple more shrubs just to hold it in. And then
Which sounds like a great idea. I totally agree with that.
Okay.
What does that have to do with the tree removal?
Nothing.
Nothing, it was just the reason I got called was because the tree guy was there and he was about to spread some mulch to solve a problem, but the problem wouldn't really get solved by spreading the mulch, if you know what I'm talking about.
It was decorative more than anything is why
Yeah.
we wanted to. We were gonna go
So-
to the dump and get free mulch, but then I knew the tree guy was coming and he said, well, I got some chips and they're nice, cedar, cherry, not treated in any way,
Perfect.
not a
Yeah.
hazard,
Yeah,
probably 75 feet from the river.
they do sell some crappy mulch right now. I know that.
I wouldn't use that.
Made of like, yeah, pallets and stuff. So,
When you're spreading wood chips float. So you don't really want them near the water. You want to try and stabilize something. You want unscreened ground stump chips. That's the only thing that'll hold in the water and stabilize a bank.
Well, they're not near the bank, Bill.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you get a heavy rain, wood chips will float.
yeah, so
And
I
like
mean,
I
Do not float.
I think I'm happy to work with the Cedrones to come up with like a solution. They want to keep their path there, keep their seated area there. They've been using it this way for a long time. And there's no reason, you know, why that we can't work together on it. I'm sorry, your wife went through that.
I'm trying to give them a suggestion here of ground stump chips. The stump grindings will hold in heavy rain and water. And regular wood chips, rain and water will wash them away.
Good information.
Yeah, very good information. We've been using it for erosion control probably for 20, 25 years.
Yeah, that along
There's
with the
another
native
option.
seed,
Yeah.
native seed mix, and I think that would be great.
And I want to put some elderberries in there. Now, I'm sorry I didn't speak up when Tom Ferry was here, but they like to trim the elderberries on Lincoln Avenue. The town does. Can you just ask them like to not do that anymore?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Tom, actually, I'll tell you, since I started, has been really good about coming to me and asking me questions about what he should and shouldn't be doing. So I've been going around to some of the conservation land and properties and letting him know, hey, this path is too wide or this needs to change. Yeah, I can talk to him about that.
I would appreciate that.
He
I
does
do have an ulterior motive. I use the elderberries for medicinal purposes.
Yeah, me too.
And I'll admit that. And they've cut them way back and they're, and I wish they'd start. That's just an aside to this, but thank you if you can help me with that.
Sure, yeah, you're saving some money doing that. I mean, they're kind of expensive right now with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, I want to put some elderberries, some bushes. I think it's the York elderberry. That's the one we get
Okay.
around here that's very native. And I
Oh.
want to put some more on that conservation land with your approval, naturally.
Great. Yeah, sounds good to me.
And I'm going to put in those native grasses you suggested as a
Okay.
berry. And thank you for your suggestions, by the way. This board should get paid a nice stipend. You guys have a lot of stuff to deal with.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well,
And
actually-
I'm sorry that
actually,
you
we
were
didn't have
upset
much to
before.
deal with, but since we had an agent, we're really busy.
That's good.
Now, let's get back to your tree.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
there any reason why you can't take that tree down, Lisa? I don't see an alteration.
No,
involved
I
here.
drove by on the 17th looking for it to be cut and it wasn't. You told me it was the 17th and I told you I didn't have a problem.
Was, and he hasn't gotten back to me because he's got to arrange with his friend that has a crane. And they're going to use a crane so that they don't go
Yeah.
onto the property and can remove it that way.
Well, the other thing he needs, according to Tom, is a detail. Anything that's gonna take more than 20 minutes in the street, he said needs a detail.
Right.
That's non-conservation.
Right.
Okay, yep, I'll see that he does that.
Just some extra information, I know.
Yeah.
Safety purpose.
Yeah.
Good luck with the tree.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
safe.
Nice meeting
And
you.
the elderberries.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna leave now. I'll let you folks do your business. Good night now.
Good night. All right, what do we have next here? 1566 Cedar. All right, so that gentleman has also hired, since Jim and I went out there originally, he's hired someone to come out and flag the property. Matthew Moitoso. Here we go. I met with my botanist on 5/8. He will be putting together an aerial draft of his proposed reconstruction to submit to you for review. He was hoping to possibly complete by the end of the week, if not the following week. So that's where he's at. He has fill in wetlands. Some of it he's inherited. A lot of disturbance going on out there. So it's going to be an ongoing thing for a while. But, you know, I'm grateful that these people, you know, they're working with me. So Matthew's also working with me on this. And I know that all these botanists are busy. So we'll give them a little more time.
You skipped over 2371 County Street, Lisa.
Oh, yeah, okay, so back to that. Is he here tonight? No. Okay, let's get to that one.
He's probably fallen asleep.
No, he's not here. I got an update from him. 2396 Pleasant Street. I talked to Lighthouse and he is going to do the drop. He did stop in one day, did a little surveying. Oh, I read this to you already. Yeah, so it's not complete. He's gonna get back to us. That email was sent on May 5th, so I did ask if he wasn't gonna attend, if he could please let me know, but he did not, so I will follow up with him. That's 2396. Oh, did you say 2371 County?
2371, yes.
Oh, I've got an update on that one too. So since we sent the letter with the Department of Health, Board of Health, and the Stormwater Committee, the gentleman has hired an attorney. The attorney has been in touch with us to let us know, us being the Stormwater Committee and the Conservation Committee. His name is John Mitchell. We set up a site visit if anybody wants to attend. It's June 8th at 11 a.m. If it's going to be a quorum, I need to be able to post the meeting ahead of time. So just let me know ahead of time if you're going to be there. So that's the update on that. The gentleman,
Is this the location of the old railroad tracks?
Yes, so the owners are willing to comply. They are willing to fix what needs to be fixed. They just want to meet out there and discuss it.
You will realize that the land just north of his property has been filled in?
Yeah, we've got that on our horizon. I don't know that it's been filled in. I don't know that it's a wetland that's been filled in. Bill and I looked at that and we were kind of questioning whether that part is actually a wetland. There's also some land south of 2371. That looks like it was definitely filled in. The reason why this gentleman was, or this couple, the owners were contacted about this one and not the others is because the selectmen voted to have the commission and the Stormwater Committee make a decision on actually contact them it became an issue. Someone from one of the abutters or something notified them of the problem.
I think it was Mr. Kuchenbauer.
Maybe.
And that's the land that's been filled in.
Yeah, well, Bill, what did you think about that being, do you think that was filled in?
Yes, I know it was.
You
I
think
told
it was
you guys,
wetland
By the
previously?
time we noticed it, it was completely filled. The previous owner of the, where the auto auction is now, was in the construction business. And he trucked in loads and loads of fill.
Oh, wow.
I think it didn't take him much more than a day or day and a half to get it done. By the time it was done,
Oh,
it was
wow.
done.
Yeah. All right, good information. Well, we're gonna have to write a letter to them too.
Railroad tracks was the same level from Muddy Cove Lane all the way to Hot Street. There was no bump in between.
And there's also a stream south of 2371.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody wants to go to that, just let me know. I assume we wouldn't have a quorum because I know most of you guys work. What else do we have? One more, right? Milk Street.
Milk Street.
Now, Milk Street's one that you guys issued an ORAD for. Oh, Joe Mata is here. Joe, can we talk to Joe first?
Sure. He's been patient as he could be.
Yeah. Joe, you want to just give us an update on what's happening, please?
Sure. Over there, we met with you a couple of times. We reviewed the elevation before we put the plans in. And when we did that, you had concern to lower the elevation a little more because you wanted the plans to have no water. So we
wanted it as approved on the plan, yeah.
Yeah. We thought it was low enough, but you said go by the plan, make it lower, so we did. So we lowered it as per the plan request. Then we talked again and you okayed the plans. We actually decided to go with more plans than was recommended initially because there was a bigger area and we wanted to make sure that enough of the plants survived during the season. So, and we also put that seed mix you recommended down. That's been all applied. The plants are actually looking really good. They're all budding out really good. And the water's draining out of there the way it's supposed to. It goes right through the culvert. We haven't had any issues.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the situation out there, guys, is that the house was already approved through a certificate of compliance. So that he got a partial for that before I came. And then they needed to do the replication. So for whatever reason, the neighbors moved the property line stakes, right, Joe? And then then you guys cleared a little bit more. So you cleared them a little bit more in the wetland and the buffer zone than you should have. So I asked for additional plants in that area. We went back and forth a few times because I didn't think the grading was proper, and they took the plan and they went and they brought it to the engineer. The engineer came back and said, hey, this is right. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. So I had Jeff, what is your landscaper's name?
Jeff Hickey.
Jeff Hickey came back and said, this is what it's supposed to be according to the plan. So the as-built will tell. I know Charlie said that he thought maybe the grades were wrong, but the as-built will tell the truth,
Oh, I didn't think the grades were wrong. I just noticed the neighbor sent me a picture. Actually, it was a movie of the groundwater causing a stream right through the middle of the replication area.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a stream. I don't remember.
Well, it's running from one end to the other.
That whole property is at the bottom of the hill.
Yes,
and that's why we put the culvert. There was a natural runoff of the water over there. That's why we've got the culvert across the road.
it just looks strange in a replication area to have a brook intermittent stream running through it. I know it's groundwater because there's no headwater, there's no other stream above it. But there was never any groundwater when with the original replication area, which was.
Well, there wasn't any.
There was no replication area there before. We made it. It was, the grade was much higher. That's why the
Yeah,
water.
what
Yeah.
Charlie's saying is topographically, I don't think there was any topo on there when you guys approved it, right?
No topo.
No. So we live and learn on that, but I think it's actually gonna come out to be a pretty decent replication area if the plants, and I mean, I was there the other day. I took pictures. There's carrots and skunk cabbage coming in the area they cleared. And then it's starting to fill in with plants, herbaceous plants too, so.
Perfect.
Time will tell. I told Joe, time will tell. Let's give it another growing season and see if they establish or if they wash out.
It's already actually dried out pretty good over there. It's drying out pretty good. I think you just, if you go
Well-
up there like the first day or two after a rain, because all that comes down the hill and it dries right through there from on the
Yeah.
Elm Street side down.
Yeah, there's a culvert under the road. Hopefully that can maintain itself.
That's been working actually fine. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So, I mean, I think it's pretty good over there. The other thing I wanted to make sure, we're not gonna need to get any more heavy equipment back there. So if we could do the asphalt on the driveway. Because that was the only thing we were waiting for. We didn't want to do the asphalt because we were bringing in excavators and stuff in there for that.
Did the commission approve an asphalt driveway?
That's what it was originally supposed to be done, I believe, asphalt.
Been so long, I don't remember.
Yeah. Joe, I don't even think I have your file here with me, so let's look at that next week, okay?
Next week?
Well, he wouldn't have to refile for that, would he, Lisa?
No, I just want to make sure that, yeah.
Well, even the fire department asked if we were gonna.
It could just be an email, this is what I want to do, but.
Yeah, the guy, the new owner just wants to put the asphalt down. He's been holding off on doing it because we wanted to make sure the wetlands area was all set with you guys.
Yeah, well, the wetlands area isn't going to be signed off for at least two growing seasons.
I know the planting, so I wanted to make sure it was all planted, and you said next year would be, you would review it again to make sure it was all set.
I mean, if anything needs to be changed in there, they'll just have to do it by hand if there's a problem.
Yeah, but if it's just changing which way, I mean, put more plants in there or something like that? Oh, you're saying regrading it? Because we put it in the way the plans called for, you guys approved.
Yeah. Okay, so you put it in, they also didn't, they planned on planting about a third of the plants that I had you planned, so.
I know, that's why.
Quite frankly, it was a
trying to work it.
crappy replication plan, just crappy.
Yeah, but I didn't, that's not my fault. I mean, we actually agreed with you and you said, well, put them on plans.
I know, I said the original plan was a crappy replication plan. That's why we did what we did. So hopefully this establishes well and we don't have any problems, but we have to give it 2 growing seasons. If they want to put the asphalt in along the driveway, so be it. But I want to make sure that that culvert, that pipe under the road is going to be able to handle all that water running off now. That's my big concern.
You're doing it fine every single storm.
Yeah, but now that all that vegetation is cleared, it's more, you cleared.
It already went through several storms and it was no problem. I mean, bad, pretty good. We had some pretty good rainstorms since that was cleared out. I mean.
When
since
I was
that-
there a few days ago, it was actually flowing and we haven't had rain in a few weeks. How long has it been? At least a week since we've had rain, right, guys?
Oh, we just
Oh,
had
yeah.
it.
It's
we just
really
had
dry
it.
right now.
We just had.
How
some.
big's the
We had a
driveway?
rainstorm last week. We had rain.
Barely any rain.
Barely. You stopped the jobs. A couple of my jobs, you couldn't even do the work. It was so wet. We had downpours. They couldn't even get in there with the excavator.
Mr. Mata, how long is the driveway? I'm just curious.
From the road to the front of the garage is about 500 feet.
So the slope, I will know, the slope along the east side of that road, you know, the shoulder of the driveway is all seeded nicely and the grass is coming in good there too.
And we left all the erosion controls in place.
Yeah,
So
the erosion controls.
They'll naturally break down.
Yeah.
And even that slope in front of the house where you have to regrade for the septic is all nice and green now.
Yeah, it's, to me, I mean, the planting looks good. Now, you know, I'm glad I inspected the plants before you guys put them in because they had proposed high bush, but the company gave them low bush, and I'm glad I went out and figured that out because they would have never done good there. So I just asked Joe to come give us an update because Charlie had gotten that video.
Yeah, I wish the same guy would get all his garbage he keeps on throwing on the property, off the property. We're actually gonna we're gonna send him a letter because he keeps on filling it in with garbage, and he ripped out all the property line stakes twice on us already. I mean,
Some people
Charlie-
have nothing better to do.
Well, he says he didn't do it, and then his extension of his driveway would have ran into our property. Literally into the property. Charlie
Right.
saw it. We made him take down a temporary buildings and everything else he had up on the property. So I mean, we're trying to work with that neighbor, and he's been a problem right along. And he's supposed to be getting the garbage and then the junk off the property. You know, and he doesn't. He keeps on just putting more junk on the property. The new owner is gonna, I guess he's gonna take legal action against him, trying to get him to clean it all up. It's a mess. But yeah, I mean, if it's okay, I just have the guy. If it's okay for him to asphalt the driveway now that that area has been pretty much done, we're just gonna wait for the growing season to go through. If that's okay, I just wanted to make sure that would be okay. What do you guys think? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, it's on the approved plan. If it's on the approved plan, you can go ahead and do it.
As far as I know, it was. I mean, I talked it over with
All right.
Charlie before, and he said it was. Matter of fact, the fire department actually wanted us to stabilize the driveway with some kind of like more permanent binder.
Okay.
You know, when they went in there and inspected it, they had a concern about it. Because the big trucks, when they bring them in there, if they ever have to bring a fire truck in there or something, they don't like to go on those gravel roads too much. They're worried they're gonna get stuck.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds
All right,
good.
so-
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you too.
The last thing is Milk Street. I just started telling you guys approved an order, a resource area delineation for them. I guess they were gonna do some well exploration or something a few years ago. Tom Ferry brought to my attention that it was kind of a mess. And I didn't get to walk out there yet, but I've driven by enough times that I noticed.
Where
And there
is
was
this, Lisa?
Milk Street.
Oh, okay.
Map 17, lot 208 and 236. So I am going to take a walk out there. I was hoping maybe Bill would go with me if he's not too busy, or maybe Jim or anyone that wants to just take a walk. Check out the disturbance. All right, so that's it. I mean, depending on what I see out there, I'll let you guys know, and then we can agree to write a letter, just asking them to kind of fix the areas of disturbance, you know. It's kind of a mess from what I can see on the street.
Next on the agenda,
That's it,
Well,
right?
we have some people in the audience. Anybody have public input?
Oh, Chris
Wait
Chardonnay
a
said
minute.
no thanks. He
Just
said
'cause
no thanks. He just likes he likes to sit in, and that's nice that he
That's good. Yeah, I
participates.
do that sometimes to the selectmen's meetings.
I just had one more thing, so Natural Heritage Program, Endangered Species Program is going to be updating their endangered species maps. So they're looking for public comment on any updates to the maps. I think the public comments up July 3rd, but I just wanted to let the public know if they're interested, they can contact NHESP, Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program. Okay,
Okay.
and that's all I have.
I make a motion that we adjourn at 10:48 PM.
We're on a roll.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so before I